Howdy y'all, welcome back to the Misplay for Game podcast. This time we didn't have a cringe like 5-minute silence intro because I don't want to have to edit it. It's KnTElixar.
Hey gang, one of these days I'll remember where I sit on the camera. It's your boy Tom. I was busy pulling up the YouTube stream because I forgot to do that. You should do that too.
Oh, that is the wrong camera. All right.
Hey, Terry's here.
No, I'm Marcio. This is the bit. I'm Marcio. I'm Marcio Suarez. I'm definitely good at Digimon, I guess. Yeah.
The KBeeDS best deck, guys.
And look, Terry's here.
I'm Terry, best performing KBeeDS player in the room. Yeah, I love the DP minus.
We got Trey. Yeah.
Sure, you can.
Yeah, apparently I have the cameras wrong, which I'll fix at some point in the podcast. But yeah, it's good to be back live. We're on Twitch and YouTube and all the good stuff. The video goes up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Whatever you watch it on, hit the like button or equivalent, please. Smile. Yeah, fellas, Digimon's pretty cool.
Yeah. Is this our first one? Like, now that people have played post-ban list, I forgot. It's like weeks blur together now.
Yeah. So this is the first one post-ban list because last Sunday was the 3v3 that we all played at, and and we did the thing on Saturday. Yeah. So this is the first one since the ban list. We did our last one on the last day of.
I don't like, I'm not gonna get into like the was it good, was it bad, whatever. Do I like I literally am just so glad I'm not playing against Numemon and Ancient Garurumon all day. Terry's been like coping about playing Numemon again at locals next week, and like it actively kind of hurt me to think I'd have to play around an Ukomon Numemon again.
I don't know if I'm happy that I'm not playing against Nume. I mean, it could be biased take because I play Tyrant, so it's like, yeah, bro, I'll play against like Nume all day. I love playing against Nume. Do I enjoy blue meta? Not the one that source trips. That's for sure.
Why does
speaking of which, I forgot to get the Leomon X's off of you.
Oh, for God's sake. Yeah, I'll get you those. I'll try and drop them off.
That's fine. Yeah.
That deck's fun too.
I'm ready for the Imperial Dramon Overlord meta. Like I'm looking. It's been so good, right?
It's not even right. It's like it's half that, and then like half the other part is like you have to respect Dexdor Gora.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do I? It feels like there's no deck that beats Imperial and Gora.
I said to one of the PGSC, hey, PGSC Terry's here, by the way. Shout out PGSC.
PGSC Revival.
PGSC Revival, not a zombie channel.
Yeah, I never understood that. Y'all have to explain that one to me.
So that bit was that Brad basically played zombies in YuGiOh, and every time he would be like, it'd be like, I swear to God, for me, like every time, we're not a zombie channel, but it was the only things that was uploaded for like a while.
Yeah. And
you know, like the ending bit, like off like Brooklyn Nine or something like that. Shh, not a doctor bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We then tried to steal that, so it's every time it's like, shh, not a zombie channel.
It's a good bit. But yeah, you guys, I was saying a friend of the show.
He's continuing the bit on Marcio again. Let's go.
We fired Terry live on air. PGSC is out.
That joint was so not clean. I got hosed.
Yeah, it's even funnier that we were all like, haha, Andrew, you are fixing this, and we are laughing at you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was saying to Brad that it's funny because, like Marcio said, it's like if you don't respect Imperial, or if you respect Imperial too much, use the Gora or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like shades of BT12 again, where it's like you can either be the Beelzemon or the Hunters. I think if BT17 lasted a little longer, I think that dynamic would change depending on who you ask. It's like I know there's quite a large contingency of like players who have played this format longer than us. Like if you like, you know, some of like the Asian format guys, like the Eastern format guys are all like, yeah, eventually like the Dorogoramon players will beat Imperial. They just need time. But we will not have time because the format will not last that long. We're gonna play EX7 instead. So I think if this format lasts
longer for people.
Yeah. But I mean, like we get what, like a month of this format versus like the 6 weeks.
Technically, it was supposed to be out for
the 13th, which would be a week.
The 13th. So next week it should have been on new format.
Yeah.
Now that's not going to happen. NA get it on the 20th. We get it on like the 27th or something.
Oh yeah, I guess we
our
should talk
format
about
is
that, shouldn't
3
we?
weeks away.
For
Yeah.
once, unification of the game meets dragging everyone down into the filth.
Hey, not the Australians. They're getting theirs on time.
No, big O's Australia. TAC
Yeah,
game is going to be the
Games,
breaking, the
TAC Games,
cutting
let's see.
edge.
It's been really weird getting new players into the game going like, so we're just gonna have to wait like another couple weeks to a month for this product. Just saying, maybe get used to it. Just
Yes. Yeah, I was getting like when
we should
did
just
you
start owning
you're like
Locals.
if you own a printer, it might be effective.
Yeah, we might just start proxying and then like offer people proxies because like I'm not trying to play.
we've proxy locals for the last 6 formats.
in game.
Like I went
in game.
Yeah. I went back and like looked in the chat. It's like
I don't
like,
want Bandai to listen and be like, oh, you guys are proxying at locals.
Yeah, with official cards.
The product
Don't worry,
out on time.
Bandai. I'm
Make
open.
better distributors.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
we're in those Twitter things every single time saying, please switch from Asmodee, and you know?
Somebody has to fill in for the Latam guy because now that Brazil got banned from Twitter.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
I bet
But yeah,
Bandai's
I
really
know.
feeling it in their engagement recaps to their shareholders. Like, yeah, we just lost 15% of our commenters on Twitter.
Yeah, what the heck's going on? Why are people not tweeting about the reference book? No, that's cool though. I mean, like, I don't want to speak for you. We just finished, 3 of us, Andrew did not make it, are hot off of an Evo Cup today. We had the Jester Games 3v3 that y'all have probably seen the videos on here on YouTube. If you're live on YouTube, you can check that out. Otherwise, if you're seeing this, it's not lost.
And
on
if you're
you.
live
You
and
know.
a member, then you have seen the finals and to know
Yeah.
why Terry is here.
But yeah, so there's been a lot of events and stuff like that basically all culminated here, like locally in the UK around like ban list release. So we've played a good chunk of this like different version of BT17. Feel like I don't want to speak for all of us. I'm still personally enjoying it more than pre-ban list. Like obviously like Marcio had it pretty good on bugs, but like some people say the bug guys can still figure something out. So
I have not had any. I don't know. I'm super open-minded as an armor player. Like I've been messing around with just like straight nonsense in armor. So when they were like, take out Awakening, I'm like, cool, more tech slots. So like
Yeah, but
I've been
you're-
enjoying post-ban
yeah,
list.
you're still on
you're-
Bukomon, bro. You're on some deviant shit.
It's
You're
not-
like an avid like JP like Twitter thread enjoyer. Like you see like a funky one of, you know what? Maybe I'll try it and scam someone with it at locals, and then you scam someone at locals.
We've been over this, Marcio. Digimon deck building is purely based on vibes. That's it. That's all you need. Like geometric calculators, all the probability in the world doesn't matter. Just feel it. Just feel it out.
It really is just like I have. Tom can attest. I have a really cool spice rack, but because they're like not like mounted to a wall, they're just all laid out in front of me. Sometimes I just go, I don't remember what red powder this is. In it goes. And that is my approach to post-ban list VMon. It's fantastic. Just like, it'll probably work.
Near enough to the fire extinguisher for good measure.
Yeah,
well.
like there's enough salt and MSG that holds down the flavors, and I can just sprinkle in random cool things that probably have no effect on the rest of the dish. But boy, does it smell good.
That's for the culture, for real.
And then I played Ragnar last week, which, I mean, same 50 cards. Still pretty good.
I think the thing with like a lot of the expectation is that like everyone's been saying for a really long time that like the BT17 stuff is like, oh, this is like the new like power floor of Digimon. Like the next couple sets are all going to be like around these cards and blah 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 blah. So there's like there's a bunch of like well, I mean, unless you're fully ban list hater copium mode and you think Mirage is best deck, which is like, you know what, like live on your life, bro. I hear you. But I gotta say, it is funny because today we've got King Kai back in region, and I have played Kai at consecutive weekend events twice in a row now. Today, one of the most deviant, horrible nightmare moments that I've had in like Digimon in a couple months happened to me today, where I'm playing Devas, could not contest something with a source, and just straight up did not have an ace on turn 2. So we Gallantmon promoted. Hers was turn 3, excuse me. A Gallantmon promoted with the Bukomon one of that I shuffled the eggs, and the Bukomon one of was still the top egg again. And this Gallantmon checked me 3 times with the blue tamer. Like, unsuspend the level 3, check again with jamming. Unsuspend the level 3, check again. It's just like, I can't believe this shit. Like, if this is Mirage now, like, whatever, let it happen.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, it was a good time. Good to have the homie King Kai back. But yeah, goddamn, this format's funny. But no, there's like a lot of stuff. It's like, these are like the power budget of like the new cards and the new decks, and like this is what you're gonna be seeing for. I saw some posts today about like DC1 started in Japan today, or the Eastern format block. So it's like lots of different scenes have had theirs, different tops, different winners, blah blah blah. But I saw a post that was like, yeah, if y'all don't know, like Armor Imperial is probably Bediff now. Like, get ready to see that.
Yeah,
so like
it's
a
really
lot of people being
that.
like, yeah. So I'm like, there's people like, hey, come join my coaching. Let me teach you about the best deck for the next 2 formats.
It's
like,
really
wow.
funny people talking about that, because this is like another thing that back in BT16, Liam and I both, whilst talking to each other, came up with 2 flavors of Imperial armor, where like people were like, why are you on Lydramon? I was like, well, it makes a Pyldramon, it spits out 2 armors if it gets answered and your Magnet X gets cleared. Like it's cool. And then it's like, oh, when we get Primo, you could do that for cheaper. Like, we just lost Awakening and Primo is cheaper, and you can make a partition stack, which is kind of crazy. So like seeing that, and then Liam was like, okay, cool, let me figure out like the top end with Dragon Mode stuff, and then seeing that topped in Niagara as well. I think it got 11th.
Yeah, it did pretty good.
And then
better next set too.
Viewer of the channel as well was in my comments for the armor video that I put out that has done very well.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It's
cool.
like, oh yeah, so thoughts on the Flamedramon post-ban list? I'm like, here's stuff, and like, cool. Comes back 2 days later. Yeah, I topped Niagara with it. Thanks for the info. I'm like,
Love to see it.
yes.
But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people. I've seen the deck described as like, it's just like Imperial stuff. You cut all the level 6s and you just play whatever you want on top. So
the thing is, the 6s
like,
aren't bad either.
All the level 4s are armor except XVMon, just because you need the jamming.
It's mostly just that, like, Dragon Mode is good, but I don't think Dragon Mode is as good as Magna X. But Pyldramon is better than, like, Pseudo Ace. Right?
Pyldramon is maybe better than Magna X, too. Like, that's just how good that level 5 is.
I would say it's probably better into Gora, though, because if they try and cheat, then you go, bye-bye, and send them to hell, which I think is valid, because one of the real problems the armor matchup has into Gora is that, like, you make the Magnet X, you're protected, and they go, word, swing at the start of your turn, please, and you lose your stack. Whereas, like, if you do that on Dragon Mode, you spin them, like, you just delete them. It's fantastic. So I think that is some realm for flexibility.
Did we not discuss the like spicy tech for it to help play around that today at some point? It's so fun. It's just so funny. I love Digimon text. Just sorry, side note. Was it the like
the Puyoyomon? I don't want to leak all of the sauce, but if you don't know,
like, it's so funny.
It's public. Like, it's in an Eggman event. If you, as a competitive player, cannot bother to go to Eggman events and look up, like, at least the top like 8 lists. Yeah.
Marcio, people sometimes don't make it 15 seconds into a YouTube video before going, where list? Do you think they're clicking that many links?
That is true. It is a lot. It's like a deck that has to take a lot of actions, right? You have to type Eggman events, click on the main page, click on event coverage, click on Digimon, click on BT17, click on the event. You know what? You're basically comboing on the web.
That's terrible.
I mean, I can give people like a quick rundown if that's something that we want to have as like.
I think we could talk about the pickup for it. I was gonna say, like, before we move on from Armor Imperials or anything else, because I want to talk about, like, obviously it's good now, but it gets even better with Hexablau. Like, if you haven't seen, like, I mean, we've talked about the card. It's like the annoying part is like they either source strip your, especially if you're like a Goro player, it's like they either source strip your tamer or bot deck your tamer because you left it alone. So it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's like the most deviant version of blue source strip they've ever printed.
Like, I mean, we can touch upon that. Like, I think Hexablau is a phenomenal card. Like
So good.
we've done a whole podcast where we covered EX7.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, like, to quickly just go back to the Puyoyo, effectively, armor, you build armor to either beat Imperial or beat Gora, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, you kind of want the DP for Imperial. I feel like the DP kind of comes up in letting you, like, being able to swing at, like, safe numbers. Now, I could be wrong in how much I'm valuing the DP because, like, Saf effectively has done pretty well with like the Puyoyo, but what the Puyoyo does is it's not a clean out. Like, if you are conscious about the Puyoyo as the Gora player, you have ways to beat it. But what the Puyoyo does is just when attacking, you trash a card and you source strip the bottom source of the opponent's stack effectively, because armor doesn't have when attacking triggers to interact with Gora to stop like the effect. There are two ways to go about it. You have the deck build around it with Puyoyo, so you take the Tamer, and Doru Grey, only evolves if you have the Tamer. So if they're not conscious about the Puyoyo and they have the Tamer as the bottom source, they lose the ability to level up. Or they have to go like load the Tamer, not take it out, and then protoform into the next level. And that way the Puyoyo is only taking out the protoform, which still sucks, but it means that like there's outs to it, right? Like it's not like
you don't lose on the spot.
You don't lose on the spot, right? And so if the Puyoyo tech picks up, then the Gora players have to rely on protoform for the matchup, which kind of balances things out a little bit. The other way that armor can go about the matchup is by using the X antibody. So on the turn that you would get taunted, the turn before, you load the X antibody, but you don't evolve. You just have it in source. So then when you get taunted and then it's your turn after, you now have the X antibody loaded, so you don't, because you can't do it at the start of the main phase, at which point you can go into Jesmon GX or you can go into Omnimon X.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Omnimon X beats exactly purple base, but not
Doesn't beat black base.
Doesn't beat black base out of raising.
Oh yeah, but they usually taunt you about raising anyway.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So the purple base will lose to the X antibody routes. The black base won't, because like even if you go into Jesmon if you have GX, then you pick up the Magna, right? Like this is like your Magna X is in the trash somehow, and you're now like unaffected again. Or what you can do is if you play the BT the BT9 Magna X, the one that's like the redirect, you leave that on the board, and when you swing with that, you X-ante into the BT16 Magna X, which then, because it can evolve on Magna for a cost of 5, you're reapplying your unaffected plus protection, and you get to unsuspend. Also means that like if you get de-digivolved and popped, you're now back on that guy, which then will go to the security as well. So you can randomly heal one. It's basically like how much deck building do you want to dedicate to beating Gora as armor, because it's either you rework your eggs. The main problem with Puyoyo is that your dual color Vmon does not evolve on Puyoyo. Yeah. It only evolves on Demi V in name, or a green or red.
Green or purple.
Green or purple.
Green or purple.
It goes over the virus colors.
So you have to play Vmons that can go on generically blue. So you're playing EX1, Starter Deck, Promo, and BT16.
Yep.
You miss out on the 2k DP from the red Vmon, and you miss out on the 1k DP from the Demi V.
I think the other thing that's interesting is it's like they play around, like you said, like one beats the purple base better too. It's like one of the things, some people have talked about it in terms of like, is a BT17 list, like how close to solved is BT17, and like is there more adaptation? Like there's not a ton. I think there's like 2 events left in this whole format even before the original release date of EX7. So how much things get adapted and tweaked, we'll see. But like Black Base has had a top. They topped in Niagara for Dexter Agora. So like that deck famously is on things like the Digivolve Megadramon, and I think it's on like Mega Gargo Ace as well, right? So it's like even X antibody get tagged before you like resolve your effects. Like if you get tagged to not evolve, like both of those things, like you said, Mauricio, like there's different points where like your opponent can stop it. So it's gonna be a real game of cat and mouse while they mess around with armor cards.
Catching up with the chat here. Hello to everyone that's tuning in now. We're just talking about stuff. You know, the usual. We're just yapping.
True. But also big thanks to everyone that's been using their Twitch Primes or regular Twitches. Goes a long way to support the channel. Also, you light up the overlay, which looks really cool. But yeah, if you have Amazon Prime or Amazon Student, your Twitch Prime is free.
But yeah, that's basically like Armor Gore. I don't know how good the Puyoyo is into Imperial. On paper, you get to Sword Strip the Stigmon, so you stop partition.
Which is tight.
Which is pretty good. But you still need a good amount of stuff going your way. Like, Saf played, I think, against like 3 Imperials, and he only like dropped the last game, effectively.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, Paladin mode protected is pretty good, right?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's cool that like things are gonna get innovated. I definitely feel like, you know, we're kind of beating around the bush because we haven't started talking about the things that have happened recently. I have the links handy for the Eggman events pages if we want to talk about them. Terry, have you actually seen the pie chart yet?
I was gonna ask Terry, do you feel like 17 is solved?
I wouldn't really like say so. I think again because we've had the ban list, there's going to be like obviously changes to the format. I mean, and I think it's really weird in the sense that like a lot of decks can probably do well, or like even with like rogue picks, but you basically again just as with anything, you have to like just decide what you're going to win against and decide what you're basically going to lose against. Imperial decks, like you said, like. I don't know, man. I saw someone on like EOSmon today. I'm like, someone could figure that out. I feel like someone could like, you know, figure that out to tailor to like one specific matchup. You have Johnny like Diabormon. Again, I could feel that could be maybe if you tailored it solely to like Imperial, you could have those options.
I think there's good thing you brought up Diaboro. I think Diaboro is like decently positioned.
Beats Imperial, doesn't lose that bet to Dexter or Agora.
Well,
you can beat it with Tex.
You have lines that help you beat Imperial, but I don't think it's like as clear cut.
Yeah, but I don't think anything is as clear cut. It's sort of like the thing is the issue with like playing a rogue deck isn't necessarily that you can tech for the matchup or not. It's whether that you can outspeed the deck because like again, my personal opinion is like high rolling in Digimon is actually insane. Like the turn 1, 2, 3 setup like ideal for Imperial is kind of more like. Yeah, that's probably standard. Sometimes they're just nice like it. And then, you know, it's turn 2, they pushed up, you have like three less security, progenitors on the board, you've got dragon mode there, so yeah. I think it's more just a matter of like obviously like speed, luck, and tech. It's always gonna be that things, but like I don't think the format is like solved, and I guess having a couple more weeks of it, hopefully there'll be a bit more innovation to come out of it.
Yeah, I think people are definitely taking the ban list as an excuse to test all the theories that they didn't like. It's like, why should I put this much time into a deck if I'm just going to get steamrolled by 8 Ukos and a Numemon? I feel like at the very least, whilst there's people that have immediately identified that, you know, Blue and Gora, and even Fenrir, like Fenrir's, you know, is doing stuff like the best 2 blue decks, the best 2 purple decks are kind of easy shoo-ins, but like all of tier 1.5 basically got hit, so now is the time to test all of your weird rogue picks like Spawn.
Fenrir is like weird to me because like Fenrir cannot play past like Paladin Floodgate, like sorry, not Paladin, Pylodramon Floodgate, like can't unsuspend. So like they get effectively what, a burn and 2 checks.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then what?
No, they get 2 burns. They get 2 burns, 2 checks.
Because they can't unsuspend.
Yeah, no, my bad. Didn't know.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, it's a little bit stinky. That's like my issue with Take is that I don't think it has a particularly good, like it has a good Imperial matchup in the sense of like if you see your combo before the Imperial sees their combo, like the advantage is that if you combo turn 2 or turn 3, then you probably win. Like, you have too much advantage.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I've been told. Like, a lot of the Like the thing about like Takemikazuchi is it's like in the Venn diagram of like things that beat Doragoromon and things that beat Imperial, it is technically in the middle, but like it has to basically find perfect line to beat Dexter or Goromon, and it has to have perfect line faster than Imperial, which is like it regularly can be faster. Like its filter is better than Imperial's draw because Imperial has to come in on the board to draw. But like if you don't do that, then you're dead.
Well, this is the thing though. In theory, in my head, like surely, because like playing Fenrir is like obviously it's just you can go for Takemikazuchi lineup, but the new pieces are kind of interesting because like for example, in my head you could like you can go for the new BT17 Fenrir, drop the Pulsemon, end of turn -6k something, spit out your Tamer, or like wait to resolve effects, like -6k, like at pop their guy with the Fenrir because there's probably gonna be like less than 10,000 and stuff. Like there's little niche interactions that I think could be explored, and if you build around them rather than just being, you know what, here's my big dog with a sword in the mouth, we're just gonna go big checks.
It's funny though, like Andrew said, like there's some truth to the fact that like decks that used to just not want to struggle through the idea that you were like, you know, I don't want to play against 9 Nume Uko matchups all day. Like things that do better in that absence have started to show up. Like just this last week in France, it's like Mastemon, Bugs, Takemikazuchi, and Omnimon and Royal Knights all in one weekend. First top for most of those decks in like a year plus. So when you get rid of like every turn is an on turn, like it does actually impact the decks that are viable in some ways. So
I was talking like while we were getting food, I was saying that like I feel like the game got worse in terms of speed with the introduction of like trainings, because like things used to have like a set speed in the sense of like if you go second, right, and you open double training, you probably win that game, because like the ability to filter 4 and get effectively like 4 cost worth of reduction on the follow-up turn. You can sometimes make 6s on your turn 2 if you go second, right? And so like even though Numemon, which was like the fastest deck in the game, is now hit, decks that can play trainings, I think like that's like one of the disadvantages of Imperial and why some decks get to shine is that Imperial doesn't get to play trainings.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
if you have a deck, like I think that's why Gora is like so good, is because like it's a deck that doesn't need to go all the way up to do its game plan, and it can play trainings.
What's crazy is trainings as well. Like you said with like double training, you basically win that game as long as double training doesn't have them go, okay, cool, you went rookie double training, Emperor, please give me an extra turn. Like that's really the only time that like rookie double training ever gets punished going second.
Well,
but most people are cutting the Emperors, right?
I think this is the weird thing about it though. Like realistically, you shouldn't. I personally hate it because every time like I think especially with the design space of like from BT 14 to BT 17 because of the like Seekers lines, it's like that rookie in the back raise, the power ceiling is all in that. All in the
You're not being timed, ignore that.
You're getting timed.
No, I think that the power ceiling is always in those rookies. Like Luca just being able to load something, getting the memory, just starting off there is a very important like push you need to make to do anything. And Digimon Emperor just like shuts that down for like Dex, Pulsemon.
Yeah.
So probably other like slightly relevant things.
Oh, I didn't realize that Caleb gifted me a subscription. I was gonna subscribe because like I think I subscribed to somebody else this month, but free subscription from the Math FGC. Let's go.
I thought it was funny. Have you guys it's almost exactly what you were talking about, Andrew. It's like the decks that like do better in a vacuum having the option to. Unlike Terry was saying, like, you know, you probably should still be playing Emperor. The funniest thing about Emperor to me is like if you look at the decks converting that are playing it, it's not a card that goes in every deck. Like it's not
now no longer. Yes, now it used to be.
The decks that are using it are actually kind of now using it for card draw, because now that we've gone past Numemon, deleting stuff is pretty sweet. And there are some serious cases for like we're gonna go through maybe some of the like individual standout lists if we get a chance to, but like if you guys haven't seen the Takemikazuchi list, it's playing no trainings. It's playing the Skull Voluchimon we talked about to basically just skip an Evo level.
Hell yeah.
And it's playing Emperor Analog Missed Memory Boost to just be like, I'll draw cards, whatever. It's so funny.
I mean, I think the
it's the most BT9S purple deck I've ever seen in my life, and it ran shop. It killed people on turn 3.
I don't know, like Emperor's like it is still draw, like it is important. Like I think it's really funny in decks of just like, all right, boys, collision, let's go. Let's just run it. Give me that free draw, my guy. It's all good.
Collision is going to be problematic in like.
They're giving it to Crossheart. Why?
I mean, we can eventually talk about Crossheart, but I think like collision, as like Terry said, is like a keyword. I don't think it's problematic now, but
it's so
a certain royal knight who might have some political opinions, about the antibodies. He might have been a criminal in the past. Now, I am not saying that Lord Knight is going to be.
I think that card's better in Royal Knights than it is in its own deck.
What? Like
the dark or Lord Knight X and the Ace and the new one they're all clearly supposed to be like Knightmon tribal and Royal Knight, right? Like
and Dark Knight tribal.
Well, no, Dark Knight is just Knightmon tribal. I'm sorry to the haters.
Well, no.
They've changed it now. That's the same deck now.
There's Dark Knight and then there's Knightmon and then there's like
but like they want you to play the Black Knightmons and Dark Knightmon. That's why they're doing it. Like all of the cards are all Knightmon in text now, right? Anyway,
what I'm saying is,
do you think it's going to be better in that, or do you think it's going to be better in Royal Knights?
No, I don't. I don't rate Royal Knights. It's a do nothing deck. That deck is kind of booty. I'm not gonna lie. The advantage of Demon Lords is that like their 6s flow into like advantage. The Royal Knights, I don't give a fuck. Maybe it's because I'm.
Hear me out. He doesn't know.
Maybe it's because, like, in my head, I'm like, bro, I'm unaffected on Zafagamon. Like, I'm just gonna punch you with piercing. Like, if you like give me like Gallantmon with 2 guys out, that's awesome, bro. That's like more damage for me. Like, I literally do not give a shit. Okay,
yeah.
Like, so like I'm very biased when it comes to like Royal Knights. But
so you think this is like Dark Knight format finally? It's just Lord Knight cards to get there.
I think that the Dark Knight, the Lord Knightmon cards, they're kind of insane. Like in a very like simplistic War Greymon, I'm gonna swing you for 5 checks type of way.
Yeah,
like,
it's just gonna beat you up.
You are going to wipe someone's security and put them on better have it. And when my racist knights are like, the Covenant, they're holding down the fort, dudes in cloaks. Left, right, like the low tier god clip. Like
that was the loudest dudes I've ever heard in my life.
But like when I'm holding down the fort with my Lord Knightmon board, I'm just kind of like, okay, bro.
It stops everything attacking, right? Like it's just like everything gets collision if it's smaller than it. So it's just like everything messes everything up.
It's like so. That deck is really funny because you have the Sunariza, you have the Skull Knightmon, so you immediately have Sec +2.
It's so funny.
You have Fist of Athena, that's another security check.
Yeah.
Lord Knight X with Alliance and Piercing. You literally like wipe someone's security and go, show me the out, bro. Yeah. And it's like the funniest thing. But yeah, I'm just kind of like.
19 is peak though. I mean, like we're not finished with 19. Like I don't know, for like Andrew and 17 other people globally, they're probably gonna reveal another what's it called Millenniumon card that'll disappoint you.
Probably.
Because like every Millenniumon card that they print is just waiting for the next 2 waves of Millenniumons.
Yeah, but hear me out.
This one doesn't even. They haven't even printed a Chimera yet.
It looks
it's crazy.
Really cool though.
Yeah, the alt's gonna go crazy, bro.
Oh, the Z.
I love Moon, bro.
Every purple player. Oh, I've always. I've always liked fucking Scrimblow Moon God Menimon.
I loved my Wonder Swan when I was a kid. I couldn't put it down. What was a Game Boy?
Shut up, bro. You forgot about Dynas's existence up until like 2 months ago.
We literally did though. Be quiet, you. Cease yourself.
Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, back to 17s.
No, so this is what I was saying. It's like part of what makes the baseline of like BT17 is like this is the new floor for the foreseeable future. We've talked a ton. Like when we were hanging out with the gang before after we finished our YuGiOh Cup, I was saying like there's nothing else anyone can say about a ban list. We've talked to like Digimon as a community are like we're fighting with the big dogs, man. We're really good at milking one topic for 3 weeks until nobody wants to click on videos about it anymore. So I think we have said everything that can be said about the ban list, but I think it is worth reiterating that, in our opinion, we're probably going to be playing this current restricted ban list unless they do like a hot fix or whatever. Yeah, up until unification. So it's like the things that we're getting in 2.0, like this Lord Knight stuff, like probably stands to reason they'll be having those going forward.
Terry's chilling. Bro has
Sakuyamon, Sendrillmon. It's so good to be
purple hybrid, and it's like 14 iteration.
They took out the most boring glue eater yellow deck they've ever made, and they were like, "I'm sorry, it's not like even the Patamon guys are like, man, I just wanted to make Andromon. This sucks."
No, they get to do that.
But they get to do it now. That's what I'm saying. They shot Armor Vaccine in the head, so that now the next 5 yellow decks are all cool as hell.
You don't think Terry's gonna be playing like Dynas with like the Witch and Lee bottom end?
This is what I'm saying. He's like, Terry is now free to play cool things because he's not sentenced to Patamon Rapidmon. In fact, another day at the Patamon Evo for 0 into an armor factory. I hope I get a good pay rise.
Look, right. Also, let's be real. They're gonna give me that once. Like, all this is important. Like, there's, Sendril, okay, Sakuyamon, of course, Dynasmon, my boy. But when they give me the Horse X, boys, it's game. It's time.
It's so messed up that he's not got one.
It's gonna be so fun. I need the Horse X.
He was like the first. He was in like
hybrid.
He was in like the first.
is literally a purple hybrid level 6.
Everything is a purple hybrid level 6, dude. The 2 colors your level 5s are purple and yellow. That's 60% of the meta. But it's messed up because like KnTElixar has been in the game since when did KnTElixar come out? BT2? BT3? It's like Terry, you're like an old head. Like that's like it's for real, like the beginning of the game, right?
It was in 1.0.
Yeah, it's like a BT3 KnTElixar, and like
that's what I mean. Like this card's been in the game this whole time. KnTElixar it's like Omnimon was first, Gallantmon is in BT2, Ulforce is in BT3, KnTElixar is in BT3, but like of the Royal Knights, this is like one of the first ones. It was certainly in the first 5. So the fact that this is like one of the last ones to get a 6 antibody sucks.
Magna has 2.
One of the cards.
I saw a comment of what a yellow tier 1 controller that isn't toxic looks like. It's me with a big ass horse. Your entire board's getting revved. Like Rev of Light minus 7k plus minus 5. I've shredded your entire board, but I'm at 0 security. If you put that rookie out from the back, you know what? I tried. I cleared your board. It was a good time. On to game 2.
On the topic of yellow, do you think that we'll have like because all of the good like yellow decks have been like what, like Lord Knight, Wargreymon, Vac, Yellow Hybrid,
Even among those, there's like gulfs and valleys, though, right? Like Lord Knight and Yellow Hybrid are so much better than those two.
Like the Green Goblin.
Yeah,
bring
like
him
back. What else?
No, okay.
I think the problem is the Diamond Yellow decks have been good, is whether masquerading as another color. Like BT like 3/4 Wargreymon is simply just like budget Bloom Lord in my head. You're gonna swing, you're gonna spit out a dude, you're gonna unsuspend, you're gonna swing, spit out another dude. Lord Knight again, just another Bloom cosplay. It's fine. Like it's just you're always stealing other people's gimmicks is kind of the issue.
I agree with that. I was gonna say the other thing as well is like one of the things that always ends up getting yellow cards hit is like as is the case for basically anything in Digimon, which is like when a deck gets too good at not playing around whatever your opponent is doing, they tend to hit them. So like, you know, they tapped on Mirage so that it had to like use the inherits to like actually get its unsuspend. They like hit the EX4. They hit Shine because it was so good at just like, even if they don't give you a Marcus, you'll just take it out of security. Like they take decks down a peg when they become like truly solitaire tier most of the time. Like that is generally when they start hitting stuff. So like they hit Yellow Hybrid because that deck was just like genuinely doing its own thing. It didn't care what you did. They hit what's it called? They hit Shine because it was just doing its own thing. They didn't care. They banned MDF because it's the most broken card in Digimon. But it's like when they hit a yellow card, like having hit TK, it's like, yeah, they hit TK because it was like TK turned you into a single player experience, bro. Like unless they had ways to do 4 checks on turn 2, you were getting the Rapidmon. Like there's no thinking to this. It just happens.
Even like as a side note, like the issue also with TK isn't necessarily, well, apart from the setup part turn, it's just that like I mean, trainings are sick. You know what's also good? Free recovery, gain 4 memory. I'm like, I'm back in the saddle again. It's all good. I'll do this every turn. For like 4 memory a turn is insane. As also a side note, this is why Pulsemon has felt the greatest moment, the greatest time, the best time. Just the free memory gain is such a beautiful thing. And like with TK, it was just kind of free. It triggering itself was kind of like, maybe that shouldn't have been a thing.
Why was TK the best card gets added and card gets removed tamer? That's weird.
That's weird. Like, I mean, I think like yellow is going to get like the Wizardmon. That card is like kind of belligerent in a way.
Yeah, the
fact that
BT19 one.
Yeah, the fact that like no, I think it's 18.
Is it? No, I'm pretty sure it's the Dynus X stuff.
Yeah, because it's part of.
Oh, you mean
it's Dynus?
no,
it's
yeah,
Wizard X.
Yellow Wizard is 18. X
Yeah,
antibody is in 19.
Am I bugging? Hang on.
There's a Candle Wizard and
the data protection.
My bad.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Dynus one.
That's what also makes a yellow deck worse, is the fact that generally speaking, most yellow decks don't have, if any, have protection per se, or it's always conditional on a very weird factor. So like, yes, like I know, like when you're high rolling and everything goes well, it's fine. But the problem is your like rebuild is pretty awful. Like,
yeah, it's pretty bad.
Your rebuild used to be pay 6 for Flame Hell Scythe.
Yeah,
I'm actually bugging, fellas. Which is the BT18 Wizardmon?
It's the mono yellow 5 cost.
Yeah,
sorry. I thought that was a Candlemon card. I was just scrolling.
Well, there is a Candlemon.
Well, the Candlemon is the
Candlemon's really good.
Oh, so for example, this is like the thing where you know what my protection in Sakuyamon is? Hoping the jamming plugin makes me live. That's the thing. The rebuild is cool. We get biomerge now. I still have to be losing for this biomerge to be useful. I'm not. Yeah. I don't get. So like this. Go on, Marcia. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say the thing about Wizardmon is that it reminds me of like typical yellow. That like yellow will have some like very good rookies and they'll have like some good cards at like certain levels. But now they get to patch it with like these like 3, 4, 5 because like giving the color generic like ramp that's like wants to burn your security will make security burn like better. Because like you can now aggressively burn your security to protect your bodies. And so like unironically, the Wizardmon is the best QBmon. Like fuck the QBmon that plays Rika, that card is doo-doo hot dog water. Like that card is
the 19 QBmon's good.
No, the 19 QBmon is what BT17 should have been.
Yeah,
it should have been. That one's fixed, yeah.
But the Wizardmon, we saw like me and you, like we talked about that there were like a ton of like Sequelists like winning Evo Cups and shit because of the Wizardmon.
Wizard Candle are a huge pickup for that deck. I think it's funny though because it's like that just is like it takes Sakuyamon. You know, Terrymon has like a different variety of builds. Some people play around Biomerge, some people play around like Rapid Armor. It's like, is it going to be like Warp Sakuyamon, or is it just going to be like data good stuff Sakuyamon?
At this point, there's so much Sakuya support in like such a small amount of time that I can't in my head make like a clear like, oh, this is how I want the deck to look, because your top end all works differently. Like your bottom end is somewhat like robust enough to like you can transfer, you know, cards between like different variants. But now Sakuya has variants. You can go Kuzuha Bombo, you can go Make Token, you can go Maid Mode into regular Sakuya, into Maid Mode into regular Sakuya. And we don't even have the X yet, so. And that's like another deck that KnTElixar, you know? We bring back the Sakuya.
Yes, sir.
I think you're better Sakuya than me.
I would hope so. I mean, I feel like you have more reps because you buy osmosis, you know, you play against Terry, so you from the other side of the table you have played Sakuyamon. But yeah,
I've played against your Sakuyamon like at work, well, when we used to work, and that shit was disgusting.
Yeah, I'm low-key nice. It's just that's why I like watching Terry play.
I swear, that's the deck that you don't break. Maybe that's why you break with like Ragna or like Armor, because you don't break with Sakuya.
I'm always on that thing.
Like, you legit, like, I would be like, fuck, man, my plugin's already. You're just like, yeah, I have like 20 cards in hand.
All right, so there's a comedy about good Gallant support. Like the issue with Gallant, apart from the whole like fair like too fair comment, is that unfortunately, Tom, I don't know if you're familiar with Red Eyes in Yu-Gi-Oh, but Gallantmon is just the Red Eyes of.
That is the most hurtful thing.
That is so true.
Terry, we've been friends for almost half a decade, and that is the most hurtful thing you've ever said to me.
I'm sorry, but the truth.
Bro is sitting on the other side of the table for me at Thanksgiving this year.
They just can't.
It's not like, the cards are all really like there are not that many bad. Like if Gallantmon cards were actually terrible, they wouldn't be being kidnapped by other decks.
But that's
the problem is.
I don't think they're terrible. I just think the problem is you don't have they always split off into like different directions. So therefore, it's like creating a coherent game plan is kind of like harder.
Yeah, I get what you mean. We don't have to go into Gallantmon for the 19th time, but it's like
I have some goo. I can give you like a. You're not gonna like this. I can give you a Gallantmon deck that plays a bird package.
Yeah, no, I've seen the same thing. I'm not a believer.
Phoenix
but I hear you.
Kind of cracked.
Yeah, no, Phoenix one's cool. I like warping a return though. Anyway, there's layers to it. I also think like if the cards were bad, part of what I said is like they wouldn't be being used.
That's the thing. Red Eyes cards aren't bad. Dragoon is crazy.
Yeah, and then in the format where for once Dragoon wasn't being gatekept by something else, that's pretty crazy, right? Yeah. The Gallantmon is like some of those Gallantmon cards are wicked toxic. Like I'll be the first to. I mean, I die on my sword for this every time. It's like Crimson Mode Ace is a crazy powerful card. Secret Gallantmon is bananas. That's why SetCon steals it. There's tons of value. The new BT17 Takato is one of the craziest tamers ever printed. There's so much good stuff in that deck, but like the reason it doesn't win everything is because like why would I voluntarily do that to myself against Imperial? And it's like at a certain point it's like always the bridesmaid, never the bride, but it's like there's some disparity in some color identity around the Digimon TCG. And
Imperial is the blue eyes.
I think if Imperial is the I don't know, maybe like the just generically all of the synchro era. It's like it's as good as Black Rose and Stardust and
Borosol.
Well, I think the thing is Imperial gets new tools, but the game plan never changes. It sticks to the game plan. Look, it's
Gallant has like two plans, right? It's delete things on the board and mill. Those are the two things.
I don't know if I would consider mill. I feel like mill. They were like, shit, bro. How do we get?
They tied mill to McGeedramon.
They were like, shit, bro. How do we get the Gallantmon player to like progress the game?
Mill is if you ask people that like want to like continuously take the deck to events, like mill is some of the strongest stuff that it does. So there are layers to it, like being just the tools that the deck gets.
Personally, I think they should commit to mill.
Yeah, agreed. I think the part of the strength of Gallantmon is that if it had more like access to punishment.
Like there's nothing that's like that gives you like sword and shield vibes from milling. It's a shovel at that point.
Well, it's a virus, right?
So the thing is like milling in my mind, going to the comment, what is toxic? I'm like milling is simultaneously when you mill yourself. All right, that's fine. Do what you want. When you mill my deck, right? No. This is my property. Stop. That is toxic. Bro, I need my pieces. I need my things. I'm not playing through tier format again in a different game. I'm not doing it.
My thing with mill is just that like you win like randomly. There's nothing skillful that's just like, oh, that was like I won because of a decision that I make.
Yeah.
You go, I won because I milled like their tech card. And then like what's the opponent supposed to do? Play more of the tech card? No, you're passively winning.
The thing is that
not interesting.
Gallantmon mills both ways. I think is the thing that's really important. Like generic mill where you just go, okay, your cards to the track.
Mill yourself, bro. But that's Beelzebub.
Yeah, but like Gallant is cool because you both mill things and only one of you benefits from it. I think that's really cool. Like he's forcing you into an endurance game.
You've not played Gallantmon against Beelzebub.
Okay, that's whatever.
Look, let me do it. It's cool whenever someone I like or I'm doing it. It's toxic when anyone else is doing it. If my opponent does it, it's not fair. It's not how this works. This is how this works. It's only cool if I do it.
I'll say this is all like, if I speak, I am in trouble. But also, there's some parts of this where it's like, when I get what you mean about like, you know, you just kind of win out of nowhere, but I actually don't think it's that different than like they happened to in their top 17 cards have 2 full ride lines and 2 sets of Primogenitors and a Hammer's Park, and like it's, you know, if the color identity is draw versus the color identity is sect because I milled you, I think
like
maybe some decks should be allowed to bullshit you like that at an uninteractive level.
Oh no, like I do kind of get it. It's like it's the sort of probability versus it's like it's a probability game here, but it's more like if you're like my thing is I'm fine with Gallantmon doing it because to be fair, at least they've tied it to the number of cards in trash. There's an actual like definitive reason to mill cards and gives you payoff for it. But sometimes just milling out my deck for sake of just milling me out, it's just like it. There's no. I think my thing is currently there's no way to like interact very well with those kinds of decks. You just kind of have to accept it. I mean, sure, you have I guess now what Paladin mode is.
We'll also all get scramble at some point, so you can probably bring back something that really matters if you need it.
I think the thing is I'm happy with decks having different identities as long as there's like counterplay to most of those things as we go along. Like before, the trash was basically an uninteractable pile. Now we're getting more and more cards that either like put cards back, maybe do things like that. I think that's a better point of game design to like ensure most things have some level of counterplay is important.
I think you put like, you know, like some bowling lane, like when you go to like a bowling alley and put the arms up so the ball doesn't go down the gutters. It's like Digimon historically has been a game about like I don't want to talk about like, you know, mediocre mid-range lol, but like, you know, decks that are like really efficient at just doing the 5 security checks and then going for game have historically been the best way to play the game. Alternate win cons, very few and far between, and viable control strategies somewhat limited by what they could do because of the parameters by which Digimon TCG like it has existed this whole time. Like, you know, if you think of the best control deck year over year, it is pretty routinely Satcon. And in an effort, well, you know, it is what it is. I'm just saying. My point is like, yeah, exactly. It's like the further they go into the game's life, the more intentional they can be in regards to like design elements that facilitate that. So like a lot of recovery now is like effects that add cards to security now are way better than they used to be, but they tend to be either restricted by like high level Digimon have like an uncapped amount of recovery, so you need like Serafimon as opposed to Magna Angemon, or like when you have access, like, you know, you can take some cards out of trash or put cards straight to trash, or you can take cards into security and out of security, but like both of these things are now framed in a way where it's like within reason. You know, you can't go to like 10 securities easily anymore. You can't use that to infinitely produce resources. Simultaneously, there are ways for you to punish an opponent who's just like filling their trash up on AFK brain mode. Like, you know, you play against the Demon Lord players that just like drop 3 analog youths on themselves, and you're like, okay, Paladin mode. So there's like, they've given us points of interaction and framework by which to build future cards around. I can't help but feel like, you know, like that we were just talking about Wizardmon, like the whole idea of like burning your security, protecting yourself is like, yeah, like this can exist now because most decks don't get past like 6 security. There's like an actual like maximum number of times you'd have to kill something before it goes down. It's like every deck is kind of getting like a light Pulsemon treatment, where it's like, yeah, Pulsemon stays at 3, but they get really good effects. Everyone stays at 6 though. What if
Gallant, they leaned into Sea Gallant instead of it being like, oh, pop Megidramon.
They Chaos Gallantmon, that deck is
yeah. I think if no, I think yeah, like I think if you like lean into Chaos Gallant, you still want mill. We don't have anything that just like tries to force dead draws. I think Sea Gallant or Diaboromon X just being like, yeah, take some shit from your trash, put it on the top. Fuck you. Don't draw anything useful for the next 2 turns. Like, I think that would be really, like, really interesting.
I think was it a Vadermon or like one of the line that like
you stack their, you look at their top.
I'll even take that because, to be fair, again, like, it's such an interesting way to interact with something because, like, to be fair, every Digimon player has lost or at least felt like hard done by like, yep, just there's my 4, there's the 6, 6, 6, 6. Need a 5. Just need where's the piece?
Yeah. If I was going to like fix Gallantmon, I think the cards that punish the opponent for not having bodies on board, I think they're not punishing enough, because like if the whole point is that like
you'd always give Gallantmon the unsuspend or whatever.
Yeah, like
it
it's
doesn't
like
matter.
It's very easy to track Gallantmon damage. So it's like if the Gallantmon just, if there's nothing on board, the effects are not powerful enough for me to feel like I have to feed him something. So it's kind of like, I mean, yeah, bro, gain 2 memory. What are you going to do without 2 memory? Develop a Takado?
Yeah,
sure.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I was going to fix Gallant, it would either be like, the point of the mill cards would be like, you would have a select handful of mill cards that the purpose is to take cards out of the opponent's trash to put them on the opponent's field. And that would be maybe more
very Leviamon. So, I feel like that's kind of a niche they've already done, though.
Yes, right. So like they use that.
I feel like what makes Leviamon annoying is the fact that you decide that arbitrarily I don't get my own plays right. If you had granted, I know the way how trigger effects work in Digimon is kind of awkward, right? So like it's gonna be a bit strange. But like the fact that you just basically get to go, you know what? Here you go, friend. Have this. When you play my ST Godo mod from my trash, can I at least get some value out of you just like putting it there? Just slapping it there for your own benefit?
Yeah, God forbid you have downsides when you then go and play your Syakumon from trash, draw 5 and trash just 1 card.
I'd say I've seen something in chat that I want to address really quickly. We've talked about, again, like if you're not new to the Misplay first of all, if we've got some people who are new, thanks very much for tuning in. Appreciate the heck out of you. You can catch us here on YouTube, on Twitch, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify and blah blah blah. Like everything, say hello, and be channel members and Twitch subscribers. Thanks. But also, if you aren't new and you've heard us have this Gallantmon conversation like 9 times now,
this is like once a month we fucking
the crazy thing is it's never me bringing it up anymore. I actually think the new Gallantmon cards are pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think they're sick.
You cannot be aced. I think that is an awesome fucking
it's incredible.
thing that the deck gets is that you cannot be aced.
If I complain about anything anymore, it's practically a meme because it's like I waited like 4 years for piercing, so I'm like, I guess I finally got it. Like it's a joke.
It's so shit.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, it is, but it also feels like it was released out of order. Like I feel like I had like multiple conversations with people like, oh, it's pretty good. It's like, bro, it costs 4 to evolve. Like we're going backwards.
You have now.
Yeah, we have the Gallantmon we played for a very long time.
Yes, you have the craziest rare I've ever read in my life, by the way.
That's a crazy. Oh, well, we'll come back to that.
No, okay.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. Gallantmon's finally hitting good. But like
your rare is better than every super rare you've ever gotten.
I like to think that as far as dudes who are semi-available on the internet to have talk conversations about this, it's like I have put my flag in the ground. I think most of the cards we get are actually pretty good. I would argue that Gallantmon gets a high volume of cards, and a lot of them are above average because law of large numbers. But the thing we have talked about that I feel like nobody ever wants to play with me in the space on is that part of what makes Gallantmon kind of not hit is that unlike when decks have gotten tools in the past, like I'll use Sakuyamon and Terrymon examples here because they're kind of parallels to the deck in terms of like waves of support, kind of design philosophy, rebuild strength. When they got color splashes into other colors, they didn't double dip on their removal. Sakuyamon got bot deck, it got bounce, it got DP minus. Terrymon.
I can't bottom deck. I can bounce. Like I'll give you that.
Pardon me. It doesn't have blast evolving to paladin.
I mean, now you can also just turn off when you have Venusmon as well.
Yeah, you have pause plug in too. Gallantmon got to dip into purple, which is cool because it went from a deck that only had 1 kind of deletion to a deck that has 2 kinds of deletion.
But it's the same deletion.
It's the same deletion. So one of the restricting factors to Gallantmon, and then it's
medieval suspends before it deletes.
Yes. So if Shoto Kazuma's medieval Gallantmon, as confirmed by the press information for EX8, has Vortex Blitz and has like a suspend effect, that might actually just do it, and people are going to wake up to the fact that Gallantmon's had good cards this whole time. It just could only play with you in red and purple ways. And if your deck didn't want to lose to red or purple, one of those is the worst color in Digimon, so you probably don't have too much trouble playing around red. Then I think you might be all right.
But like, what color would they give? Like, they can't give you blue because a red, blue, like Gallantmon.
Can I be honest with you?
What do you mean? Red yellow Gallant should have been a thing. Going back.
No. Gallantmon should never.
Data Growl.
Tom, hear me out.
It's blue. It should be blue.
Hear me out, right? imagine the world where you got to do the mill thing, and then you got to go for every like 5 cards in your opponent's trash, you can like reduce them down by like 2k, and then you make the DP threshold for your guys. It'll be so
that would
much
be
fun.
kind of cool. You get to eat from the top and bottom to get like your little shine like pop-offs to, I mean, because that's really cool seeing shine like shrink something down into range and go, okay, pop a 2k, pop a 2k, pop a 2k, or like how Sakuya spreads its DP minus. I think that would be, instead of having all of your like DP, becoming a Crimson Blaze merchant as Zero puts it from the Huang Zero challenge, like instead of just being a Crimson Blaze merchant, it would be very cool if you got to like just change DP values so you could actually be a little bit more specific.
I'll actually accept changing DP values for Gallantmon would be sick. And I really wish they would do more cards that actually modify.
Oh, like Polymorph.
Just set the DP value. Like Blastfire, my beloved, give me that as a better card, and I'm like, oh my god, Sakuyamon X, give me that Blastfire, it's gonna be great.
They better set that shit to like 6k. I want you to still have to work for it.
Yeah,
If they printed cards like what you guys are describing, they'd have to ban half the archetype.
No, I don't know.
There's no, like, the thing with Gallantmon.
They're not gonna rework it.
They're not gonna rework it because fundamentally it does something already. Like Gallantmon has had like when the format calls for it has multiple, but like when the format calls.
No, I'm talking about like Western win.
A current 2024 win. Yeah, Henny He, shout out to my goat. I need to hit him up on Discord again. The what's it called? Oh, like part of what makes Digimon's a cool card game. It does a lot of stuff to like tie in source material in like interesting thematic ways. Like the thing about like Gallantmon is like the source material is really transparent on this. Like he just like mercs stuff. Like that's its thing. It's like the guys are all like weird virus monsters that like corrupt data or eat things or blow stuff up. Like there's not like, if you like the kinds of like the people for whom that appeals got exactly what they want out of Gallantmon cards. It's even cooler that it mills to me because then I get like some like, ooh, look, like Magidramon is radioactive and he's messing up our cards. Like it's cool. It's an interesting way to develop these things in the card game. But they should be really, really careful when they apply the logic of like, they give Terrymon black cards and now it's protected and has DD12. It's like, yeah, dude, if I had ways to interact with my opponent at points where they genuinely can't play back, it's like the effects that they have been printing that I think Gallantmon could best steal are stuff like the like I'll give you my like this is like some real pie in the sky broken stuff. But like the things that they've been giving red this year that they haven't been giving to the main character red decks yet is essentially lingering kill small things. So they gave it to Volcanic Dramon in EX7 where you can't move 6k. They gave it to Dynomon where it's like things that are too small, can't play around. Like that's where red's gonna end up because if they're testing it on stuff like this.
Dino-Rexmon or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, Dino-Rexmon is like if your opponent's got more than one memory, they can't use 6k DP Digimon. There are parts of like color identity where red is like, if red is supposed to be the thing that most is like my guy destroys your guy and not in a fight. Like again, like if what they're about to do is they have to be really careful with whatever the like, I think to a certain extent, the Gallantmon Medieval is probably going to be more Shoto support than Takato support. And we will see because, we haven't had it revealed in Liberator yet. We're going to see how things go. But like Gallantmon's gimmick is it's like, it's pretty good at hitting you in a fight, but it's really good at popping stuff. And if they go from like red and green are the colors of like I kill you with effects and I kill you with muscle. And if they give them to the same deck and they give it Vortex and Blitz, it might not be very fun. We might need to think about what we're asking.
You don't need Blitz. You have Vortex.
Yeah, but there are ways to unsuspend, X anti-evolve, unsuspend, Blitz, unsuspend,
sure, whatever.
Vortex. Like there's lots of stuff.
Gallantmon would suspend.
Okay, but this is what I mean. Is like they've given this deck a billion cards, so they need to think about what they give the deck next.
You guys want to talk about some deck lists? I feel like
I would like to because I obviously always fun to entertain the Twitch chat when they're like, "Hey Tom, what do you think about Gallantmon?" And I can talk about my thesis essay every time. But yeah, the cards are bad. I know your friends at your locals are like, "Ha, Gallantmon reveals suck," but they don't. It's just like it'll get there. That's how it goes. Yeah, I'd love to. If you guys check your pod chat, I have 2 events we can talk about very briefly today. We're not going to go through everything, obviously, because
I want to highlight something about this because I think these 2 events are kind of funny in the sense of like,
dude, it's so crazy how the regions shook out, huh?
It's like, okay, here's like boring old NA, immediately default, 0 creativity, and then it's like come to Europe. We have
Demon Lord Finals.
we come
Two
to Europe.
French dude. It's like like the French dudes in Paris that like smoke cigarettes and play chess and like
Yeah.
this
The
is that. It's
fellas
like
in
Gurumon,
Paris.
I have the Queen's Gambit.
It's like we have public transport.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, this is the clip in a second here. The Niagara Regionals, I believe the number that I've seen floating around at the moment is an event of 322 players attended the Niagara Regionals. Shout out to Carta Magica for doing a great job with the dicks, with the data sharing.
what?
Good times. I was gonna say with the decks, but like they didn't actually share the decks, they just shared the data. We had to get the decks from somewhere else. Anyway, the number I've seen floating around is obviously you guys might notice that a big portion of this pie chart is an Imperial Dramon Dragon Mode BT16. Yeah, it's kind of bleak if you're in Canada on that day. But what's maybe more bleak, and is one of the funniest card game statistics I've ever seen, is supposedly of the 322 attending players, 120 players were on Imperial Dramon. Which is not only the worst centralization any deck has ever had in the history of Digimon. It's the worst centralized. It would be the worst centralization ever in Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic. Like,
Wait,
it's
really?
really like It's even the worst it ever got. Like truly, like in terms of like massive scale events, is like Toss, right? Like that's like what you were on like one of four things.
Yeah.
It's straight up, Andrew. Almost half the players in the room were on Imperial.
So it's like Teledad.
What you said? Yeah, it's hella bad. It's
No, I said Teledad, which is significantly worse. Like,
well,
yeah.
Yeah, it's very
this is
bad.
literally like, you know, the Joker meme was like, oh, you get what you fucking deserve. It's like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, if we don't do something about the BT12 pieces and the Daikens, yeah, your players are going to be like, guys, I don't really know what to play for this regional.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just play the deck that plays itself and got like left unchecked.
Source for that statistic, yeah, I can. I've seen a couple people, folks talking about it in Eggman's chat, and then shouts to Ritsu had posted that, and then once again, I saw some folks talking about it with Mario too. So you can check all of those out. Check the YouTube comments. Mario's most recent like YouTube AMA stuff had it in there as well. And then you can. I know a bunch of people are posting on Twitter. So
it's mostly just that, like, how do you go, oh yeah, we gotta tweak the format, you know, like things got out of hand, and then like how do you, this is the case of like you only hit tier 1, and then the deck that was already able to compete but like was kept in check by like tier 1 just gets to fucking go to the moon, because like, yeah bro, no fucking shit.
It's a JP bias thing,
comfort,
man.
Though, right?
No,
how much of this is comfort? Like people just picked up the thing they are like.
Well, yes,
a huge chunk of the people are VMon guys, and they were just like, I was already playing Imperial. It just got better now.
Imperial doesn't cost like
it costs more than Numemon. It does.
Let's be
real. It costs
real.
more to build an Imperial deck than it used to build.
Dramon.
The exception being Ruin modes, but like Ruin modes are largely purple and yellow staples that go in.
No, but my thing is like Imperial is like everybody has an Imperial core, right? Like everybody fucks around with Imperial a little bit. So like post ban list, it's like, well, yeah, I'll sleeve up the Pyodramons that I got from the boxes, like. You know,
yeah, I went to BT16 pre-release. I have hella Daikens.
The people that like the community that still plays this game is like people that are dropping like a good amount of money. Like it's Pyodramon does have like a pretty steep price.
Yeah, it's the whole deck.
But yes, it's the whole deck, and that's assuming that like you don't have anything else. Like everything else is commons, rares, whatever. So you can get it off of bulk. So all you have to do is get the super rare, and like you have the deck. And most people have like Pyodramons like from opening boxes and stuff. So it's like it's very rare that people are like actually like, in my head, picking up like the cards from scratch.
Yeah, you just, how many, like the title of this video is because we're eventually going to talk about like the Yu-Gi-Oh refugees who have started washing up on our humble shores. And
I'm very thankful.
Yeah, I think it's super cool, but I have seen Terry assemble those 50 cards for different players multiple times. I'm just like, this is the gateway drug to playing Digimon. It is a Yu-Gi-Oh ass deck. You do just solitaire for like 5 minutes.
You play Imperial, and that just feels good to play.
Yeah, like, until it doesn't. Like occasionally you do get that like, drew nothing. Go to game 2.
Like, I've been farming Imperial players because, like, I know the matchup. And, like, I know I can track every action that the deck does, like, a turn in advance. So like I'm playing decks that are, I wouldn't say it's a hard counter, but I'm playing decks that have incredibly favored matchups.
So like Imperial was so like, do you actually want to get into like the sort of, we've had some new Yu-Gi-Oh players like trying to do the thing now, or do you want to save that for a bit later?
I think we'll do it after the results, because
yeah. So if you guys want to get through the results, because I do actually have a few things I would actually talk about on that.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah, I
front
was
of,
gonna
like,
say, I have
So DigiPanda asked in the chat, should we realistically get a hit for Imperial?
yes.
And my answer
No.
is like, it depends. If like, I don't know if like the deck. I think the deck is good now as a product of like everything else being hit, because when we get like EX7 2.0, we'll go back to like having more contenders in the format, and there's like a few things that I think in my head will keep Imperial in check.
Mother Shodo,
And-
right?
It depends what they tech it.
There's more. Yeah, I would say that's like one of them, but also like there's more decks that can interact with Imperial, right? Like
Primogenitor 1 is so based. Holy shit.
yeah, like I would say
that is a hater, man. I love that.
Sorry,
No,
what
like,
are you gonna say?
I don't know. For me, like, so you can hit the pieces, or weirdly for me, like I'm gonna straight up go. My issue is with Daiken being at like 4, like
Yeah.
straight up, because like the fact that one Daiken already refunds itself pretty
Yes,
much straight away.
That's the
So
fucking
that's the
most
thing.
insane part.
Like, it's the fact that you'll just get that initial advantage. Like, sure, the source strip is annoying, and I get that, and I'm like, I personally feel that's a bit like weirdly like bad, but it's the fact that
Yes,
it's the
BT16
culmination.
Daiken.
Like, I think the BT16 Daiken brings the culmination of all the facts that kind of made Imperial good, but not necessarily great before. The fact that you have, like, I don't know what, 12, 16 Searcher rookies you could technically play if you wanted to,
Yeah.
that you get to play for free. Like we said about, like, I know I said like about the TK like refunding, the fact that you don't, like, I know all the dual tamers do this, but the fact that you basically can always gain a memory back off of that tamer if you digivolve, just meaning that like it's the pseudo hammer spark you have at any given time to continue your combo.
And it's a tamer
It's
as
just
well,
the
so
fact
it's
that-
not memory blockable.
Yeah. So like it's a tamer, and then like we are getting more and more tamer removal, but like it's just that card does so much for the deck. The power ceiling can be calculated. Like if my opponent sees Daiken, and if my opponent doesn't see, yes, BT16. Sorry, BT16 Davis again. BT17 is garbage. Or sorry, let me rephrase. BT17
no.
is
That card is
good. Yeah. It's pretty good. But BT16 exists, so why are you gonna play it anyway?
So in my head, right? I think that if they want to preserve the spirit of like Imperial to keep it to a modern pace, if you got like Daiken, like BT16 Daiken, the deck will go back to its fucking like snail pace, and the deck is unironically unplayable.
Yeah.
As much as I would like, as belligerent as Daiken is, being a tamer that has Source Strip, it has a memory refund and plays a rookie, right? It does 3 things off of 1 card, immediately refunds itself. The deck unironically needs it to be at a speed that it can keep up with the rest of the deck. I personally think that Primo is fucking disgusting, and that card, like, why did it get printed? But the actual correct hit is the BT12 pieces, because if the deck doesn't have the BT12 pieces, they need more setup. The deck genuinely, like, they get to.
It might
they don't
actually need
have,
a mem setter to start comboing.
yes, they would need like boost setters, things that like put them on, instead of being like a turn 3 deck or whatever, like a turn 2 deck, turn 3 deck. They would go to like a turn 4, 5. I think like a comfortable turn 4 deck where like, okay, I've built up, and now the flavor of Imperial of like I will now be able to play through like lots of different defensive lines for my opponent. That feels better to me, because it's like, oh, I don't just have like double Daiken every turn I play through wherever. It's like, okay, I've built up my resources. I'm now going to do like what I can do to push past you, as opposed to just like, oh yeah, I have like the most efficient level 4s in the game. It would it would feel less bad if the other O2 kids had it, right? Like I would be less annoyed, because like at least there would be some more competition between, like, even if Imperial was better, you could like force like Shaku or like Sylphie to be like similar. But it's the fact that like those 2 level 4s, the memory gain ones, to me, those are the most offensive cards.
Well, also, I think again, the biggest thing as well, like they kept it thematic with like, I don't know, XV gives you jamming, Stingmon gives you piercing or some kind of value of that. But again, it's just built up to a culmination of like, you've basically just said that I am not interacting with this card unless I specifically like de-digivolve it, and that feels like weird because like. Primogenitor, like, just being like, you know what, you die by battle, the whole thing that made Partition kind of like, we got you, my guy. We got you. It's fine. It's, like, I think it's a lot of the cards have just been, like, have filled, it's weird, because in theory, it's all filled the gaps that Imperial were missing. Like, it fills the, like, niches within. Yeah, and I'm like, that's fine, but like, weaknesses are cool, right? Everything should have a weakness. You should, like, it requires you to play into yes, lack of interactivity does equal toxic. That's even something like Magna X, which I know we've had like some people like obviously complain about, and it has your gripes, but like there is ways to interact with Magna X.
Blockers, like, lingering DP minus, tagging it with
lingering start of turn effects.
I would also say that like the problem again with Imperial is like even when you interact with it, every interaction is positive. The amount of times I've seen a non-battle protected Paildramon, or like I've seen like a non-battle protected Paildramon swing in, hit a heavens and blow itself up, and then again the memory pieces just go, well, I mean, if you've given me 2 level 4s, I guess I'll make another thing. Like it's just like right now
it punishes you.
Yeah, for playing into it. Like, okay, congratulations, you found the hole in my protection. And for that, you have accidentally kicked a hornet's nest, and now bees have arrived. Take 3 more damage. It's like, okay, brilliant.
Yes. That's the other thing.
Okay.
Like, theoretically, you could go, oh, I can play security bombs, right? Like, I can play cards that, like, stop them from, like, putting, like, stopping their turn or whatever. But the problem is that, like, I think Partition is, like, okay, but the problem is, once again, the BT12 pieces go, ooh, that's fucking crazy, bro. I'm just gonna, like, do it again, gain more memory.
If you used both BT4 level 4s, they pay for your Primogenitor. Like, think about what that means. Like, the deck just climbs faster than you now than it ever used to.
And then you go Primogenitor for the Starter deck Dragon mode, and then you get 2 more damage. And it's just like, where does it end? Because, like, I think Hammer Spark, unironically, was a fucking psyop hit. Because
Hammer Spark is a future format hit too. Like it's obnoxious what Hammer Spark is doing in BT8.
But Hammer Spark unironically stopped the Imperial because if they checked it, it was like, fucking hell, the turn's actually over now. It's not like, Gaia forcing security, I take 2 more damage. It's like, no, you're done. Stop. Like, no more damage. Stop playing the turn out. Like, sick, bro. You dealt your 2 checks. That's it. Like, we're done.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've talked about this a couple times, but like when they make the ban list, it's nice that this one was global. It's the first. It's cool that this is the first one where like everything was caught up. I would rather they be like this than not. When the Bandai
I think they're gonna have to.
But I also like. I think there's a lot of like doom posting in like general Digimon discourse right now. I think we've maybe poisoned the well a little bit, like as a community, where like everyone's every 4th video every month is like, is the game dead? It's like, no, come on, just show up to it. Like 300 people just showed up at the largest Canadian event ever for Digimon, which is like how could the game be dead? Think about what you're saying.
In fact, the game is
it's actively doing very well.
The game is doing very well, so much so that tournaments,
it's the like, flagship for the brand too. Like they're making a webcomic about the card game. Like things are great right now.
It's more that like the game just currently lacks like mid-sized events.
Yes,
if we had more mid-sized events for people, for casual players to go, oh, I like playing at my locals, I'll attend my Sword Championship, oh, I'll travel to like the town over to play at like a 50-60 mana tournament or whatever.
But before we move on, I don't want to get distracted from this. I agree, and we'll talk about Sword Regionals again in a sec. The thing
I just wanted to hear what Terry had to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Go on, Thomas. It's related to the same.
Okay, I think I'm gonna say something that you might agree with here, Terry. Part of what's frustrating about seeing a lot of the like by and large kind of like inflammatory stuff of like the game is dying or things are terrible and blah blah blah. Like the ban list isn't great, y'all. But we're playing a kind of filler format. There's not that many events left in BT17. Like it sucks if you're really excited to go down Niagara and play like a super organized format. You're preaching to the choir. The last 3 UK regionals have all been the week of a ban list. So like we totally sympathize. Ask me about BT12. That being said, the ban list is not just for us. Until we're fully caught up on global synchronization, like it does impact both regions that have been hit. So like the ban list is a lot more representative of they should really have done something to Imperial, but like there are more things that beat the crap out of Imperial, and like they gave Red Hybrid Score Strip, guys. Like it's gonna get gnarly for that deck in a little bit. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like Emperor Greymon, end of turn, it is its own army. Boo! That deck is crazy. And it's really good, and people love Red Hybrid. So
it's frustrating that
because we've been given the thing.
Yeah, it's frustrating that like you're bringing up like tons of counterplay, and like the list was geared for that counterplay, but we're just left in this like
we don't have that yet. We're not there yet.
And then also like weirdly again, the sort of ties in for my thing with the event is sort of like, because there's so few middle-sized events, it sort of it's also can be kind of demotivating, especially if it's like, sure, we've had the ban list and like going to like, if I could play at an event every like week, sure, it might be grindy to like play against like maybe Imperial and burns me down, but like I can actively play. I can actively go out, find new things, try new decks, and it makes it feel kind of at least worth it. I can actively work towards like trying my best to like find the right counterplay, find the better deck to do.
How's it going to be to get like in a bus with the homies every month and just go play cards? Go find a town.
But then currently now it's just like, okay, cool. We had like one regional. For those of you that say, oh, there's online events, I'm just going to say right now, I'm like, just I don't know, go touch grass, my guys. Get outside. It's a card game for a reason. We are meant to sit down across from each other, just talk about our day, play some cards, and that is what you play card games for. Like, I understand during COVID, it was a godsend to still be able to do that, but it's 2024. Like, you have like so many like OTS stores, like dotted across the country, that's like the state, wherever you are. Just make use of them. Like, all of these things feel less bad when it's not like, oh, I'm getting griefed on my one event for the year, I guess, or like that's it. Like the motivation to play and innovate and make yourself feel better is much better when you have those events.
It's so weird too. Like one of the things I think that's like really skewed about like we've never talked about this on the show. Do you guys think they've held on to digital Digimon for too long? Like, is it 100%. A crutch that like the game came out in COVID, right? Like, is it something that they've been like hesitant to move past?
Well, I think 100%, because I think the thing is they feel like, oh, well, a Discord server costs nothing. It's so much easier. It's like it would work in the state. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes, I agree. Shout outs to the Peoria regionals. That was a big deal. Putting stuff in the Midwest is tight.
So like, DGPanda like brought me in the chat, like, some people don't want to have the casual conversation when playing, and I don't think it's like having the conversation like when you're playing to talking to people. It's more like I want to buy my cards and I want to like play with my
There's also
cards.
something that goes to be said for ambient noise and being able to look over another table and go, wow, that game state's fucked up. I'm glad I'm sitting on this table. Jill sent me a message around.
Yeah, like a lot of that would come with those mid-sized events, right? Like Marcia says, like if Sword Champs had done well and left NA and we could have them here, it's like I would love to get like 4 of the guys. We get a like 5 a.m. coach bus down somewhere, and we just go play at 8 a.m. store regional somewhere. Like the trip is a thing, and it makes you like want to keep playing the game with your friends.
Yes, you need like if you were trying to get like. Because sometimes you look at like the bigger regional events, right? And like it's going to suck that they're going to be in like major places because, well, they have the biggest population.
They also have the biggest stores.
They have like the biggest stores, right? Available. So like it's like the competitive players, they're already going to play competitively, and for the people that want to travel to like big events, a lot of the time it's going to be like a very like daunting experience. So you need something to ease them in. And the difference between you going to your locals and playing on your Evo Cup and you going to like, say for example, Liverpool, Texas, fucking Perth, whatever like the big events are, it's a massive difference, because like it's like some of the guys at the top tables, I would say, like all of us have been like in top table like positions, it's like we are not playing the same game as like the people at like not bottom tables, but like
no, you're 100% right.
Mid bottom tables. It's like we are not playing the same Digimon. Like even though we're playing Digimon, we are not playing the same Digimon because it's like I go like, say for example, my opponent flips a Digitama, I'm immediately clocking in my head, okay, I've played this matchup, mental notes, do this, or whatever. Whereas like somebody that's like in table fucking 50, 100 or whatever, or like they're cosplaying or they're having a good time, and we need that. We need to have that difference. But to get more people to just overall attend, I think sometimes you look at the attendance and it's like, oh, this event was like a 500-man capped event, but it only had like 200 or 300, and that's because they're not doing a good job at getting people to like build up the courage to go to the.
You need to acclimatize people, like, because we're imagine like from YuGiOh. Like I started at our locals playing YuGiOh. I think started going to locals. Then they had a regional that at my store that I was like, okay, like it's like okay, it was maybe about 60 people. I can get used to it. I got started to play. Then I started going to there's like one in Huddersfield. There's maybe one in Liverpool. There's one in Leeds. You slowly build up to more and more. Then I went to nationals and I went to Euros. It's like I understand that like obviously like you have to like sometimes things could be a comment as like overstimulating or be difficult, but like you need to foster this like community aspect of the card game as well. The idea of going to your shop, meeting new people, doing like these kind of things, because it's important to a community to thrive. Like I think the reason our locals like is quote unquote one of the bigger ones in the
Dude,
UK.
we love you.
It's not even the quote unquote, like sometimes like listen to like other Digimon podcasts and they're like, oh yeah, our locals was really big this time. They were like 10 people. Then I go, 10 would be a small thing for like Fanboy. Like we have now started to become like mid
30.
Yeah,
Fanboy, and depending on the format, has on occasion been like 30 to 35 players. Like, we so like on occasion have to get like 20 tables.
Like variety, I think the thing about mid-level tournaments as well is it improves player variety. Because yes, you may still play against the same number of decks. Like a third of the format might still be one deck, but you're playing against people that you've never played against before, and you get to go like, oh yeah, I spoke to this person. A little bit of their background. It's not like I ran into the same 5 people I run in at my store, which I think really, really helps. And if you get it helps you build like a squad that you can then take to a different store. Like we've started trying to go to Stockport more often and Preston if, the moons align. So that way we can, like their stores are smaller, most of the players are weaker, but like by going there and becoming more familiar faces, it means that if we go to a regional, the Salford region was a fantastic example of like seeing like the people that visited our store and then we go to their store did relatively well at Salford, and Salford, instead of sticking to table 1, showed table 4, table 15, table 35 before we finally locked in for Top Cut. And yeah, we were playing different Digimon. We got to see Etamon versus like Rapid or something stupid in round 3. It was awesome.
And in fairness, like obviously, like we're in the UK, and the UK obviously is much more accessible to get around than the US, and that's just an unfortunate nature of it. But like, I even mean like even if you start to 5 to 10, that's 5 to like that's fine. You got to start somewhere, but like. I think it's getting just, those. Sorry, finish your thought. As they say, it's getting those people in, because the thing is though, if your community, I think my thing is if your community is strong enough, people will be willing to come back, even if it's a pain. You finish your 9 to 5. It's been a grind. Your work days kicked your ass, but you know that you're gonna go to the card shop. You're gonna play with the guys. You might go out for a food. You might go out for a meal. That'd be really great. And also for the back to the more mid-level events thing. Generally, deck diversity might just be straight up different, because if you only have 2 major regionals, you're probably going to go, well, I need to play something competitive. I'm not going to obviously in the event by playing something different. Loads of mid-level regionals what? I played a month for format. I have 5 more, 6 more events I can do this month. All right, time to bust out a wayful with me playing Sakuyamon. Maybe there's anything I might try Eosmon. You have more events to experiment with, because there's not the stakes are still high, but you have more opportunities. You're not just going, oh well, that's it.
This was my one event of the format.
Yeah. I think that's the main thing. It's people Digimon right now feels very much like you will have your one big tournament for the format. So people are less likely to experiment, because it's well, I'm kind of wasting my time if I'm not testing with the deck that I want to play and the matchups that I need to learn. and like having the mid-size events also, like it's awesome that like 4 to 8 people can like show up on a local at a local and like keep the game alive for the local, because like it means that at least the store is buying in product, is supplying, they have a reason, they have a space, and it's getting those like 4 to 8 people to like, oh, you know, the 4, 5, 6 of us will find a way and we'll go to like, you know, the store regional or whatever, and then like, you know, you go to the town over will come to your town, or like state, you know, crossing or whatever, and then like, you know, if people like sometimes people won't get into a game, like me personally as well, there were some games that I wanted to play, but I'm not gonna pick it up because like I don't really have like the incentive to like compete for that game. Like Dragon Ball Fusion World, right? Like I like the original Dragon Ball. Like I played a ton of it. I dropped it more towards the end, but for me it was like I never really wanted to travel for it, and I kept it like as a casual game. Games like I've played like Force of Will before. I only went to a Force of Will event because it was at my store.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, it's important to have these mid-size events, because like the more of these events you have, you know, maybe your attendance will slowly grow over time, but that's like extra people that you'll get for your bigger events.
You also might get people from your locals. I think this is how we're actually going to transition into like the Yu-Gi-Oh refugees, but like sometimes you might come into a store and not know an event was on. Like you were just in, like you might come in, you were in town, let me go pick up some packs, and you go, oh damn, there's hella people here. What game is this for? And you're like, oh, this game has a scene that has like a mid enough thing that our store has rented out their basement to run like an official tournament store. I think that's sick. Like obviously some people have very particular opinions about people that play other games. Some of those are justified. But sometimes you will look over and go, oh, what's this game you're playing? Because I see like 20, 30 people here like every week, or like the same 4, 8 of you. Like the game looks cool, or like I've seen you play it. So like if you're always here, it must be decent enough to keep an attraction. And that's how you get people that play, you know, maybe you're a little bit burnt out on your main game. Maybe the prizing's dog. So you're like, well, let me see what else is available.
Maybe you don't want to spend 300 USD for a playset of bonfires.
That is true.
Right. Like I can't have you all slandering my main love this too hard. All right, come on.
It's too expensive. It's ridiculous that the
No,
OCG
I will
figured
say,
it out, and the GCG didn't.
Digimon is getting like, it's definitely more expensive than it used to be.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's part of that is product issues though. Like they're moving through sets really quickly right now. Like 2024 has been like set delay, set not being restocked. Like it's been pretty consistent.
But that's the thing, I think as well, like yes, Yu-Gi-Oh is expensive, and like I'm not even gonna go like yes, it is disgusting, but at least in my mind, you at least have a fair amount of events you can go to week by week to at least justify that expense. Like it should definitely be cheaper, but like at least you can get the value out of your cards. Like there's generally been some moments here, like could probably consider buying proxies. I'm like, all right, welcome to BT17. Like, was it BT16? Basically, there was only like we basically didn't really actually have any events.
The UK missed basically everything. There was like games.
And it was just like we already made the proxies for, like to practice and test and stuff, and it was just like, am I really gonna do this? I mean, we've been having fun without the physical cards, really, but like. Oh yeah, that's the thing. Oh, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, that's also one thing about getting into like different card games. It's like, you know what? Imperial costing like I don't know. Let's say like upper end £100 or something, $100. Oh, that's chump change, boys. Let's get in there. But like, I think this is the thing. Like the value you get from the cards is justified when you have enough events to actually play them, other than locals. Because like locals is fun, but like. Sometimes you need to scratch that itch, that you just need to sit across from someone, go like, all right, boys, it's going to be the easy 2-0, and, it's fun.
I think sometimes, like, with Digimon, you just kind of, or like, with most card games in general, you just have to, like, accept that, like, you're on a budget, and, like, the collector pieces are for collectors for a reason. Like, not everybody's going to have, X amount of money available to them, and so, like, some people...
discretionary entertainment budget is a thing people need to do for a reason. Like,
because some people
cards are not worth your rent, guys.
Yeah, because like sometimes it's like I understand like cards being like $20 or $30 or whatever, because like they're generally powerful cards. Like, obviously, there's going to be a demand for stronger cards. I don't think.
Hexablau incoming.
I think the worst Digimon ever got was exactly in the beginning of the game, where like Omnis were going for like 120.
That was pretty bad.
And that's like partly because it was set 1 of the game, like, you know.
Print issues, people didn't know how much to charge for it.
But it's like, the collectors are willing to pay more because they can, but for the average person, there's like an amount that they're willing to pay. But sometimes it's just like, well, I could play the deck that's like $200, or I can play the deck that's like $50. And it's like, sometimes you just accept that, like, well, the deck that costs $50 is still really good, I just need to put time into it. And sometimes people don't want to put time into decks, they just want immediate gratification. So, like, spend more money, win more games, right? Like, I feel like Numemon was, I think, like, is that the SP Gallantmon?
Yeah, no, I was saying, shout out to my partner for helping me reorganize this recently. It's so funny. Like, I had a friend come over the other week. Shout out to my friend Elsie. She has another podcast called Thoughts TV. They do children's TV entertainment. This is not a plug run by the guys, but shout out to Elsie. And Elsie is not from like a fandom or like TCG like nerd hobby background. Like, just absolute theater geek pretty much, but like does not have a ton of like I would say like long standing foothold of like what a TCG hobby looks like. When I was explaining binders of like collections to people, I was like, it's kind of like a collection of like trips I took with my friends at the same time. Like, you know, so and so and I went to this event together and we got this card, or like we went to this thing and like this thing has a stamp that was unique to this event. Like, part of what makes the collection thing is that you can kind of attribute your own meaning to stuff. Like, yes, you can have a max rarity deck, but like, also, it's really cool when you see people who are like, I went to every regional in Europe with my friends this year, and we got a bunch of red-eye early morning trains or whatever. And it's like, the things people collect have different sentimentality, which I say only because I'm about to pull out the most expensive piece of cardboard I've ever owned in my life. Shouts to Safwan and his second place Crimson Mode.
Wait, no, that's...
this is the second place Crimson Mode. This is the silver bordered version.
No, that's the first place year 2 version then.
No, the first place card for year 2 was
Susan. Yeah, Susan.
But Saf did receive this as well.
Yeah, but it's still...
If you do have a first place Crimson Mode and don't want to charge me as much as a used car of it and know that it'll go to a good home for a living collect... I have like a full collection of every Gallantmon.
Wait, there's 2 SP Gallants in there now?
There's 2 SP Gallantmons in here now. As well as like all of the... I'm not going to get into it. We don't have to... Maybe we'll do a video if people actually care. That'd be a funny thing one time.
Boko, Tom's
Gallantmon binder.
We go through everyone's binder to see who's the most expensive binder.
It's hey, I'm not going to hold you. It's this by a mile.
It's
this
you
deck went from...
and Josh.
Gallantmon had it had DC1 one year, and then it had... what's it called? Ultimate Cups the next year. So like the trophy cards got ridiculous. Anyway, not important. We'll talk about the binder some other time. But my point is, like, just because they happen to on occasion be like particularly expensive stuff, is also like it does tie in a lot of ways to like the community and influence of like, you know, part of what we're talking about with bringing new players on is like, you can bring your friends with you. Like when you go to something like a large or mid-sized event, I think Card Fest, I saw DigiPanda talking in the chat before about like the scale and noise of it and stuff like that. I think that's going to be a legit problem while Bandai gets used to their thing. But like long-standing and like healthy community-run tournament circuits have made their name in having something at every size. Like there's something for everybody. So Card Fest being like your region gets all the Bandai players together and we get to talk about the news and how exciting it is, and that stuff is great. I just got back from Tokyo. I was very kindly sort of hosted and shown around by East and some folks over there, and like Grand Asia Open was crazy in Japan. So like there are events where it's like if you want a huge thing to go to with like lots of card games and stuff, they'll have that. And when Digimon finally gets to these middle-sized events, you and your friends can go. Like it is as important to have things that you can do with your community, like your, you know, like I said, you and 5 friends get on the bus and like 5 o'clock in the morning and to go do something on a Saturday. Like that stuff matters a lot. It matters way more than watching a stream of World Finals.
Oh no, 100% tied to Tom's point. So one of the YuGiOh players, a friend, who's just joined us in playing Digimon. So first, like obviously I kept shilling Digimon because I still like the game and it's nice to have like If one game sucks, yeah, you can play a second game. And I kept shilling it to him, and then eventually he was like, okay, I'll get into it. The format for Yu-Gi-Oh is probably not what I want it to be right now. Like, I can look into something else. The price seems fun. And then he asked me about like the tournament structure with the next event, and then he saw that there was like an event in Utrecht, and he messaged me going, Terry, I need deck lists. Terry, give me the deck list. We're going to Utrecht, Terry. We're doing it. We're going to Utrecht. And like little things like that, just the idea of traveling with your friends to do something is like so paramount to like some of these decisions. And I think like community is always going to be the thing that draws you into anything. Because like, let's be real, sometimes getting sacked by X deck or like bricking 5 times in a row in the tournament, awful experience. Going to complain to the buddies with the little huddle. All right, if you're at Euros, you'll see the fanboy squad will have Mr. TommyNT over here giving us the dad chat, the full rundown before we get to sit down at our tables, and it's so much fun. Like, I think that's definitely the way you like drag people in,
and that starts at the local level. Like, if you go to an event on your own, power to you. Like, the people that go to the events on their own, those people are soldiers. It could be me, but
I've done it once, but like that I did miss luckily we had Johnny and Derek there as well to block it down. I was like, this is good. I had someone there, but it's always good with the game.
It's also like, if you notice, like when players get into the game, right? Like you'll have like there's basically like the 2 types of like new player. There's like the new player that's like learning the game is going to take it a bit slower. They're going to find the deck that they want to play. Role player adjacent, in the sense of like they'll find their guy. But then there's like the player that gets into the game immediately has like the hunger for competitive like events, and there's just nothing there. And so like a lot of people like hop into the game, try it, and then there's like, well, the next event is like in a month, and yeah, I'm just gonna like peace out. Like, it's just important to have like frequent mid-sized events. I mean, we've been basically saying that like Bandai give us store regionals, please.
Yeah, like we've been getting better with the frequency of Evo Cups coming for us, and like we've been trying to
Evo Cups this year. Evo Cups have been a great like side sort of step to store champs. I don't want them to get rid of store champs, but it would be cool. But Evo Cups have been a great pickup.
I think like the UK specifically like is a country that's not too big, so like I think the problem with store regionals in the US is that the US is like massive, right? And so like
it's also they just didn't give enough stores the license to do them. If they'd done that, then I don't think capped. Yeah, like they were capped, but the cap isn't even the problem. It's the
I think the cap is a pretty big problem.
No, I genuinely don't even think the cap is the problem. I think it's that there's not enough of them, so when they cap, it's like, well, there was only like 8 of them. And it's like if they cap, but there's like 7 stores that can run them, you just go to the other store that can run them. But the problem is there are no other stores that run them. They pick like one store, some random like not mom and pop shop, but they pick like a Fanboy 3 equivalent, and that is it for Texas. And you go, what the fuck? Why are there only 64 then? Like, it's Texas. There should be like 9 in just Texas alone that you can just go to. Who cares if they don't top?
There are that many NBA teams in Texas. Put another store champion down.
Exactly. Like, it's crazy. Like, I don't even care that they topped. Like, they should have a cap because then it helps you just have a scale. But there should have been enough of them. If you want data, you need to run enough of them to figure out if they're worth it. And the only way they can be worth it is if people have the option to pick and choose. And people don't have the option to pick and choose. You got your like, we missed the one that's in the city over to us. Wanna drive to, through 4 different states to go to a different one that hopefully hasn't capped yet? It was ridiculous. Like, they could have done it so much better, and it literally just came down to giving more people the chance to even sign up to let their store run it.
It was, somebody brought it up in the chat, like, I'm gonna guess this person is like from the US, and they're saying that like stores tend to go out of business a bit more, like in and out, which is like valid. And like Bandai, I think the way that they're running the game in the West, they're mostly looking at the US, and the US is going to be like a bit inconsistent because like some parts of the country are like more favored. Like, some events will get like guaranteed like sometimes it'll be like you don't really have a reason to run events in a state that's like not as well populated or not as easy to get to.
They're not going to put one in Montana. Like,
right. It's like
yeah.
stuff like that, right? And, that's going to suck. But, I mean, maybe I like to always be, like, more hopeful than to be, like, pessimistic or whatever. Like, I think, like, with the unification of the game, hopefully, like, they'll be like, oh, the game got past, like, its most treacherous waters. We can maybe, like, I'm not expecting them to dump a ton of resources into the game, because like One Piece right now is like their golden goose. Like they have no reason, like whatever they're doing for us, they're doing it for One Piece.
Yeah, it's two birds, one stone when we get something, right? Like Card Fest is exciting because it's like it's essentially like a Bandai equivalent of like a Pokemon International.
It feels like I'm a side event right now.
Yeah. But like they're doing it because they can have everything there.
The fact that Salford Regionals was like 128 man event for Digimon, but then I know it's One Piece in the Game tournament, but literally two One Piece tournaments on the same day, and I'm just like...
Glasgow's best of one because they needed to be able to also run Dragon Ball and One Piece side events on the same thing. I'm like, so you're saying... This is our regional, and we're being gimped by our side formats. Are you dead ass?
Well, it's like the thing is, it's like that's the implication, right? It's like Bandai can conceivably hang with the big dogs, like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh have been like historic. Magic killed Pro Tour, and it's like we are still dealing with the consequences of that. Like if you don't think Magic losing Pro Tour has affected your card game, you are strictly wrong. Like the loss of Magic Pro Tour has affected every card games, like everywhere, every tournament circuit is worse for not having it. But we're not going to go through the history of Pro Tour right now. What we are going to talk about is that if Bandai groups all their stuff together, they get to hang with Pokemon and Konami. And by doing that, they get to be like, we got big stuff, we got middle stuff, we got little stuff. Come to our stuff.
He's right on the money.
It's like if you don't get to do it as I'm a Bandai player, I have a Dragon Ball deck and a Digimon deck and a One Piece deck, and I love the anime, and catch me on buying the model kits on Premium Bandai, where Premium Bandai sells me all the product I need for all of my cards. Like that's how they think about moving this stuff forward. That's why it's one app. If you haven't thought about it, it's weird that it's all on one app.
It makes sense, but Bandai Andes are awful. They are awful for the community of the card games because
they are turncoats and they'll swap over whatever.
They just shift. They just keep moving along. And I'm
hopefully
it's just awful.
That's my homie Jambo. He ditched us today for the Evo Cup to play One Piece.
The thing that annoys me about not doing store regionals is like it does not actually cost you that many resources. It is create the tournament packs you're already making that are basically cardboard with shiny stamps, send them to the stores, charge them for it if you need to, whatever, they'll still might do it. And that's it. The stores if your place is like an official store that is like licensed by you, then you should be able to trust them to be their own TO, their own event organizer. Surely they will figure it out. Like that is the extent of
the judge program is a great point for that too. Yeah. It's like if they have a trusted judge program where stores can basically elect their representatives, like you can get different sized judge or different sized. Yeah, they mail you a big license. No, different tiered judge license. Excuse me. Like they know that these people are able to like they've learned in the Bandai ecosystem. They could like if I really wanted to, I should probably learn One Piece first. But like I bet you I could get a Digimon and Bandai One Piece and Bandai Dragon Ball license. Like there are the things you can do by like engaging in their ecosystem that they want you to stay in. So there's a lot to be said for that.
What I was gonna say is like I feel like we need to come to I'm as much as I do not want this. I think this is a horrendous idea. Like, truly terrible.
Which means it's happening now. Why are you doing this?
But I think we should get used to the idea, warming up to the idea, and not be little babies that our game might become best of one.
Agree. I think
and
it's happening.
While that is... It takes away some of the reasons why I like Digimon, because like I like being able to like figure out matchups, less high roll, my game feels more methodical in a way. Like it feels like more calculated. Like if I 2-0 someone, it's because like I'm that much better than you. Whereas like if it's like a 2-1, it's like close matchup or like whatever, right? But you don't really have that in best of one. It's just like games feel a bit more binary. However, if we get used to the idea of like best of one, and I think you have to come to terms that it's not Digimon, it's Bandai. And if they're willing to group up like all the games into like a thing, right? So it's like, well, we don't need to be like, you know, best friends with the One Piece players, but if we can just like, well, the One Piece players need somewhere to play, and so do we. And if it's easier for Bandai to get both of us under the same roof, and then they can justify running mid-sized events,
Maybe
like,
stream them, I beg.
It would be like, well, it's like a store regional for Digimon plus like One Piece, and then that way it might be a bit more appealing. If that's what it takes for me to get mid-sized events and I have to share the space with One Piece players, as long as I get like consistent tournaments, I'll take it because at least I get to play Digimon. And between playing and not playing,
I would accept the best of one thing for that, but the issue with the best of one is that only translates depending on what your game is. Because like with One Piece, because I've played it, best of one makes sense because the game genuinely could last the 35 minutes plus the extra 5 minutes of time. That one game is by the rate of things. Unfortunately, if they wanted Digimon to be best of one, they would have had to design that from the ground up. It works in like obviously we say with Japan's best of one, but also part of that is the community aspect already ties them together. It's the fact of like, oh, I'm just playing with my buddy, you know, just quick games. You can you have the established community where that is fine. But if you're just some Andy who gets jobbed, you know, you sit down, you run into Mr. Imperial, he high rolls you, you get stomped, you go next turn, you go to Dex, you get stomped. Like that is not a
Hey man, I had a bad Saturday, I get it.
It's like it's not a particularly good feeling, but I think like the idea of like pooling the locals together, like realistically, the One Piece players and the Digimon players can share the same space. It's not like either of our games are fully like maybe One Piece at bigger scale events will take up more space, but for mid-sized and low-sized events, like if there's like Bandai Day, like on this day, that's when the store closes.
I'm happy for that. But the thing is, you can still run both games simultaneously.
Yes.
You don't have to change the rule set for that. It's just don't be a bitch about it. Just do it.
What I'm saying is we're more likely to get it if we get like a rule change. And while I don't want that, it comes down to between playing Digimon and not playing Digimon. I'll play Digimon best of one.
Oh my god!
It's fine. We just do it. We just run it. We make the Edison. There's Edison format. We got this Digimon from BT17.
Dude, I would fight people in the street for I think there's been like an average of like 3 UK events a year. I would fight someone in the street for an average of a 4th one every year.
Yeah, I mean, right now it requires
I would stab best of 3 in the back for another Digimon.
Andrew, I feel like you wouldn't mind
I just want to go to
as much because like
I don't care because you know what that means? It means when Misplay for Game says, "Hey man, we're doing something for the community. Y'all miss best of 3." We can do that because we're an unofficial event, and if people know, then you have another big event that is, you know, something we sort out.
I mean,
I used to be like a big best of one hater.
I just gotta play more Digimon.
I used to be a best of one hater, but if it means that my events double and I'm playing best of one, whatever, I play more high roll decks if I want, or I can play like, you know.
I don't know.
The less I have to hop on a plane to play Digimon would be great.
Look, my lizard brain's just like, my guy, I'm getting the same amount of games and it's just different. It's like, I'm playing best of one. I'm still playing 8. If it's a 6-round event, I play 18 games. If I go to this one, I'm playing about 3 in a month, about the 18 games.
Yeah, but like, they're fleshing it out, right? You're 100% correct. But like, also, when you get to like round 10 of a best of one event and you're like, me and the homies, I'm gonna drop, let's go play the 3v3. It's like they built the experience around
that's only if they keep up the experience. I don't know.
Dude, 3v3 is hitting. 3v3 is hitting.
No, but it's a good format. It's
like official Bandai 3v3 is sticking, dude. They love that shit.
But yeah, if
3v3 and Ulti Cup were like, there were almost as many 3v3 players at GAO there were Ulti Cup players. It was crazy.
Basically, like, not to fucking kick a dead horse, while I don't want best of one, if it means the best of one, I get more events and like more different size events and like the game stays alive.
I get it. I'm molding now. I'm not gonna quit playing Digimon. I'll still mold about it, but I'm still gonna play the game. It's just one of those things.
We should just get used to the occasional best of one at least to start off with. Like,
yeah.
Best of one.
I'm gonna be so annoying at locals when I start wanting to practice best of one events.
Yeah, as long as we go in knowing that we can do it. We did it once, but we didn't do it properly. We should have
we
figured
got
out.
like 6 weeks to go. I kind of want to do like maybe 2 of these next 4 weeks would be cool.
Yeah, like best of one. What was it?
25.
Like we'll practice separately somewhere else, but like it would be nice to like my round 1 to be something I don't expect at all, and then I have to sit down and
I mean, best of one also contributes to like deck diversity in my opinion, because like if you have a scammer deck and you can consistently scam someone one time, 5 times.
Yeah.
LordKnightmon is so back, baby.
Me and BT13 with a Nubis loop.
Don't talk to me about consistency in the Digimon card game. Consistent doesn't matter here.
Mickey Mouse numbers.
It's all fake. It's all fake.
It's actually all fake.
It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. But like, if it happens, it happens.
One thing I do want, like, before we like wrap up and give like our quick rapid fire like decks we think that Yu-Gi-Oh players should be playing if they want to get into the card game. I also just want to say we touched on it for Europe. They had 7 Demon Lords top, which was crazy.
Europe was the opposite. Europe was just like, I don't know, guys. Maybe this Imperial deck ain't so what it's talked up to be, and it's like,
yeah.
Well then,
very cool. I just want to give a shout out.
Look, there are the same number of blue decks in Europe in the pie chart, but like they're just not all Imperial. I'm not gonna get into this.
Well, also I'd like to point out when Europe we still get shafted on like our set times. So maybe it was just like it's either I play this now or I don't play it at all. So we might as well lean in.
Dude, the European regional, like Paris was crazy. Obviously, the Demon Lords finals is so funny because that's a terrible mirror match. But like in Top Cut was 7th place Takumi Kazuchi, which I was telling you guys about. It's like the all gas, like it's like mist note. It's hilarious. That list is nuts. If you want to look at something, we should look at that. But Mastemon got 12th. Again, another sign of like Numemon being dead impacting the format. Tyrant is here. Royal Knights is here. And then like we kind of skimmed over it. Omnimon DNA topped in Canada, so like stuff is getting buck wild.
Yeah, we should definitely next week just like try and go through some like highlight format ones. I also really just wanted to use this as an excuse to shout out my man Tamas.
Oh yeah, shout out to UK Digimon.
Yeah, UK Digimon getting 10th. When you buy enough product, eventually you buy enough good cards, and then if you resolve them.
Wait, can I also shout outs to Billy Waters? Billy is an Irish player who came to our Misplay for Game Case tournament and proved that it is just simply that easy to top when you're sick like that at the game. So congratulations, Billy, if you see this. I don't know, you probably see the channel because you showed up to the tournament.
But yeah, let's go over our quick Yu-Gi-Oh ones because I think we missed the Among Us session that was happening at the same time as this because he's yap. But I mean,
I think a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players basically like everyone used to say like that, or the anecdote was the purple is the Yu-Gi-Oh color. I think that's true to like an extent. I think there are fewer like Yu-Gi-Oh ass purple decks now than there used to be proportionally. I think there are some kind of bozo purple decks these days.
Some of them are coming back.
Players. But I think like a couple standouts jump out to me where like Yu-Gi-Oh is like, if I've ever had a criticism of like the aesthetic and like fun of Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like I love what is the new like flip guys called? They're like mimics. Yeah, it's tight. It's a shame they end on like whatever generic boss monster they're supposed to end on. Like I want them to make archetype boss monsters that do stuff. I'm like, that's Yu-Gi-Oh. And if that's Yu-Gi-Oh to you, welcome to generic ace top end. Like Imperial has become a Yu-Gi-Oh deck on accident where you play your Imperial engine and then Mirage Hexablau and like you end on Mirage. So I think there's something to be that. I think the hybrid decks, both Ancient Greymon and Ancient Garurumon, are hella Yu-Gi-Oh coded.
Then my picks are Shine Greymon, because there's just like a lot of high roll. There's a lot of like setting up a board and then just being not unbreakable, but like turning those resources into something that just like flashbangs your opponent. And then the other one for me is I'm always a big fan of recommending Beelzemon to people because that shit is Light Sworn with a win condition.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Beelzemon's pretty good.
Terry, do you want to go next?
So for the past few times I've brought a couple of the friends in on either Shine or Imperial, but realistically basically people are thinking about the Yu-Gi-Oh decks in terms of like play style, which is important, which is kind of important. But like, I think the issue is that most Yu-Gi-Oh players fundamentally will struggle with Digimon because a resource system just doesn't exist in Yu-Gi-Oh. Therefore, you need something to like help you build those fundamentals. So like, I picked Imperial and Shine because they cheat the memory system, but they kind of still show you what it does. So those two are always one. I think this is going to be a weird choice for some people, but I'm going to pick Numemon because one,
I agree.
the deck when you get to like dopamine, dropping your dudes, going like ramping up that way. But in terms of like deck building, Numemon has so much free space that you can have the idea of like, so the concept of like engine and non-engine, you can actually like go like, oh well, my engine's like, I don't know, like 20 cards, 30 cards. I have 20 things that I can instantly freely play around with to do with that. I mean, Takumi Kazuchi pretends to have cost, that's fair, but like, I think my issue with those kind of decks is that from a Yu-Gi-Oh perspective, they aren't that consistent to me, and Yu-Gi-Oh is a game of like one of the hyper consistent games. Like, you want to be able to do the game plan straight away every time, and things like Hybrid or Numemon where you can like fill that engine space up or put more consistency cards in or do whatever, I think is very useful.
Then
Almost
also
all of that.
say also
So I have like a couple recommendations. Like, I think like the first one is like obviously like Imperial. Like, the amount of money that you're willing to spend in Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever is not going to be like, you're effectively getting the whole deck for like a card or two, and Digimon doesn't have like a ton of like staples that go in every deck, so you're effectively like buying cards that are actively going in that deck, and you're not. It's like generics are much more affordable, so like I would say like Imperial is. It doesn't really use generics, but like Imperial is like a deck like you buy it. It's very easy to get because like it's all available. There's no like promos or weird cards that you need to get to like optimize it. It's very straightforward, and like the deck is very like ignorant. It like shows you the best of like the deck in the sense of like Imperial never feels weak. It's not like, oh, I can't play Imperial. Like we're done past like Imperial being a bad deck. Like Imperial now is like, oh, the deck just feels really good. If you want something, Terry brought it up, that like tends to be more like fundamentals oriented, I would say like Terriermon. You're investing in a mascot deck. You're investing in a deck that has versatility. Like, you're able to respond to wide, tall. You have forms of interaction. It plays the game very well. Whereas like Imperial plays the game very degenerately. Terrier plays the game very well. And my and then like my fun pick, this is like if you want to feel like the actions that you're taking are like winning the game to the point where like there's like a real breakpoint where like you like attack directly for game or whatever. PhoenixMon is like the deck that I recommend if you want. I was about to say birds. PhoenixMon is like the deck that I'm like, okay, the deck has like, it has a basic game plan, but then it's super like not linear, and it's really up to you to like move the cards in the way that you best can do, and it's a deck that will help you grow. It just happens to be in a format where its worst matchup is the best deck, but casually right now, and then if you build up the confidence to play it at tournaments, PhoenixMon is like one of the most fun decks I've ever played. And like, I'm a green player, and the secondary I'm a red player. And man, if I could play PhoenixMon, I would do it in a heartbeat. I spent like pretty much all of EX6 playing PhoenixMon because the deck is just like so enjoyable.
All right.
I think we actually almost managed a deck of every color there too, by the way. Good job.
Oh, sorry. The last thing, but just for the thing of a deck that I don't recommend that you get, because someone asked me for this when I was at Yu-Gi-Oh! And like getting pieces.
Oh, sorry. Phoenix is also incredibly cheap, by the way. The deck will actually cost you nothing.
I think the only deck I was recommending is like, someone walked up to me and went, oh, so like I might want to try Digimon. So do you have any spare Mastermon pieces? And I was like, my guy, stop. Stop this right now. It's just not worth it. Like, also, sorry, not to go back to PhoenixMon, but to go back to PhoenixMon. PhoenixMon is like the definition of like a rogue deck that like
I'm not saying it's like the heroes, but it's a deck that people will not respect, and when you win with it, it feels really good.
PhoenixMon as the elemental heroes is crazy.
No, I'm saying it's not.
I know it, but like the discussion of like, oh man, he did it with birds, crazy.
Elemental hero, PhoenixMon, let's go.
Destroy Phoenix Enforcer.
That was a fun one. I think we ran a little bit long. We're gonna try and sort of Boko out on like a Sunday. I'll probably take the full Gallantmon discussion and put that out for members as an isolated thing, and then bring it out soonish. But yeah,
I swear to God, we'll do a full thing. That's gonna be such an inflammatory segment.
Yeah, we're gonna do. We'll try and do a Boko on another day, maybe Sunday if people are around, so that we can get some more stuff out for the champions.
Don't invest.
But thank you everyone for joining another live episode of the pod. We'll be trying to be on time next week, hopefully, if no other things are happening. September's a busy month, but yeah, make sure to, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button on the stream. I probably should have said this way earlier because I think it helps with like boosting it out, but hit the like button on this for the VOD. If you're on Twitch, hit follow if you haven't, hit subscribe if you've got a Twitch Prime. Whatever Spotify and Apple Podcasts have, give us a good rating. It helps us go to other people. And yeah, it was really fun to see everyone in chat. We like doing these live. If you like playing game shows, you should type in !M4G clips in Twitch, whether I'm online or offline. So that way next week we can maybe bring back a game show. But yeah, it was fun. Thank you, Terry from PGSC, for joining us. Congrats on your 3v3 top.
Yep. I mean, I was carried, but you can, if you want to see, some interesting profiles of what 1 or 3v3, please check out our channel, PGSC. We will probably have some more content coming out for you guys shortly. So support the habit, the guys, the boys, the gents.
PGSC actively putting out the most interesting pack opening video you've ever seen is definitely something you should be getting your eyes on. So
if you want to watch me get griefed by my own team,
so
taking all the good cards,
you got jobbed in the pack opening.
All right, see you later.
All right.
Thank you. See you guys later.
Baba
Baba booey.